From what C9 just got to watch happen on this stage.
I will say as well, just from a personal perspective, my favorite map is the last map.
Yeah.
If we go all the way, I'm not leaving this building with a voice. That's
all the way.
what I'm going to tell you.
We got to figure out what T1's routine is, though, to keep that energy up. If you make it all the way to 5. It's a long
I'll need that routine. I'll have to be doing it throughout the previous format.
On the way out.
He'll probably let us know, and I won't be able to do whatever it is. Like exercise 6 times it. Nah, sorry, not in for that one, mate.
The interesting thing for me is, are Cloud9 fighting 2 enemies here? Not just T1, but the grand final itself. They get beaten by
they're cursed.
That's it.
Yeah, you see it in all sports, right? It's whether it's the team you can't beat or the occasion, both play a huge part.
Yeah, for sure. I think obviously the roster has changed significantly. You've got a different leader, and I don't think Rossi is going to be one of those people that crumbles under the pressure. We've witnessed him straight after their matches, and he was almost apologizing to the opponent for knocking them out. Like, I don't think he was phased at all.
Yeah.
And I think if that guy's leading your team, that's a great sign. Imi wasn't even phased. He was just napping, like chilling back, relaxing the entire game. So I would hope that that's not going to be the case again. As said, they were 2-1 up last time, and it seemed to slip away. From the first time where they got 3-0'd, completely different team. Only one player remains, that's Zeppa. And again, I don't think he's someone who's going to be like dwelling on the past. He's looking at a new roster, new IGL, new youngster. This is their time.
I do agree with you, but at the same time, you have to think about the fact that I don't think Rossi coming in has had anywhere near this level of challenge on a mental side. You're coming in with the legacy of your team being that you fall at this last hurdle. The fact that they made it here in the first place, well, it showed that clearly he wasn't setting himself a bar that he had to jump over.
Yeah.
But if things start going against you, that is going to be a serious test of your mental fortitude to be able to say, oh no, it's happening again. Even with me here, he has to be the difference maker to this roster, because last time in Tokyo, didn't go too well, even when they were up.
True. All right. Berlin, should we bring out our grand finalists? They are standing right behind that portal. the added edge of excitement that you get with an introduction to the grand occasion this is by walking through the exact crowd that will either cheer or jeer your every move. Just makes the occasion feel even more special. It really showcases the magnitude of it, not just to us as viewers, but for the players themselves, Tom.
Well, yeah, that's the thing with this crowd at the moment is there isn't a like hometown hero. This is people coming to Berlin, and they've decided based off what they've seen today or what they've seen in the past, if they are in love with this player or if they are the ones they want to fail. It really is an interesting crowd to play in front of, because at any point they could switch their allegiances on a cool play from Oxy, or maybe Meteor takes over the show. It really is going to be exciting.
I'm so thrilled to see this one go down for C9. An opportunity for revenge for most of their players, for Rossi a chance to show that he is the missing X factor that they didn't have in the last home ground finals that they've been in, and for T1 a chance to put themselves on the map when it comes to home ground and lifting that trophy for their whole region. This, no matter which way it swings, is going to be history in the making.
Absolutely. There's a chance not only to do it for your team, but to make a star, make a name for yourself as well on such a huge stage, the biggest off-season Valorant tournament there is. And I heard some either sharp breaths here from you two when you saw the compositions on the screen there.
Well, it's more so we just haven't seen T1 play this before. So this is new. Obviously, Buzz coming in with the Yoru is always going to be exciting. He's an explosive player on any day, but give him that sort of kit, and who knows if he'll be able to take over the show. But clearly, different ideas coming in. Meteor having that Sentinel is always going to be something to fear. And the double controller over on the other side as well, just having that ability in those post plants. And that's where Cloud9 have been super impressive on this map. Their defense, not great. Their attack has been disgusting because of how much they're able to delay on those diffusers.
Yeah, and obviously Stax bringing in a different initiator, the Breach versus the KO on the other side, but just imagine the combinations with Buzz, some of those TPs that are going to be coming through, Astra utility on top of you. We'll see if the stars align for T1. I hope it will on map number 1. They've had a long day already, and it could be a longer one ahead.
Who's taking it, Tom?
That's not fair.
The map or the series?
Yeah, who's taking the map or the series? If it's the series,
I'm going series. Tell me.
I'm going to give it to T1.
Oof.
I think they'll perform the miracle of going through a semi-final and a final in one day. I believe in the Stax mentality.
Mitch?
That's all the time we've got time for, so let's do it. I think...
hey, that's my job.
My predictions have been great, but...
If you go C9, he has to decide.
I'll go C9, so I don't want to be a biased desk.
Who do you think? Ian?
My mic's not working, is it? Can you hear me?
Why don't you ask the crowd?
All good.
All right, well, we're going to Abyss. No, okay. Is it T1?
Okay.
Or is it Cloud9?
Oh.
I'll tell you what it is. It's time for a bash in Berlin. Two ferocious teams willing to fight for Valorant's biggest off-season prize. Cloud9 and T1 want to close out 2024 feeling the weight of the Red Bull home ground trophy. Berlin, are you ready? Tom and Mitch, let's get into it.
Thank you for that, Ian. Perfect timing as well, on the dot. It's time for barriers to go up and the Red Bull home ground final to commence. C9 on the defensive side of Abyss and T1 mounting the attack. I'm excited to see this Yoru on Buzz. A terrifying concept for C9 to face off against. And a slow shift from the attacking side towards the A side.
But that's the thing, we've had a lot of, I guess, data on this C9 team for this map in particular. T1 have been watching the demos, and Buzz is looking to lead his way on the charge. He knows where his opponent is, but it's actually going to be him and a teammate finding those openers. Vic trying to hold the line, but won't be able to. And one of the things C9 did well was taking home those pistol rounds. Rossi was the king of them yesterday, but now it's left down to just Moose in a 1v4.
Up against the odds. They're certainly not in his favor. Buzz has even thread the needle all the way around. Coming in for the backstab. This seems to be the pistol already in the hands of the attack. And no, Buzz, don't do it. No!
Don't you dare!
The first round, his third kill. Razor sharp start from Buzz. 1-0.
On to that in round one. It's round 1 of the game, and Buzz is already bringing out some flair, already putting his opponent's mental in the dirt. That has got to be a killer way to sort of kick off the game. And again, I said about T1, like, you've already played your match. You've already had to battle through Foot, which was not an easy game. Like, they had a real struggle when it came to Pearl. They picked into a map that C9 can have no data on them, and you've kicked it off with a pistol win and a knife kill. He's already getting his way over halfway to his ultimate. By the looks of it, might be going to try and farm up the other orb, but that is being contested by the side of C9.
Yeah, they have a read on it, and the push-up is quite good. Here comes a flash and a swing that, well, a kill goes their way to start with, but C9 are left in the dust. It's Sylvan taking 3, and T1 looking to lock in their second and confirm with Rossi's downfall.
Of course, not wanting to give any more orbs over. It's understandable after Sylvan managed to get that many kills. And T1, other than the loss of Buzz, will manage to keep things quite clean. Now, again, they are just 2 orbs away from having that dimensional drift fairly early in this map, causing havoc to a lot of the setups. And you have to bear in mind that he can be very disruptive because of the fact that they don't have that Sentinel. They've got a controller that will play either side of the map, which will look to be that stronghold, but they don't have the cam, they don't have the trips, so although he might be able to bypass some of that anyway, it could give him a lot of space that they need to be careful of.
It's going to be in the back of your mind all game long, especially if he keeps up as he began, 1 orb away after picking that one up. And Buzz, he's on his way to the other side of the map. His teammates holding the fort. And it looks like we are going to have Dimensional Drift online, a huge boost potentially for this round number 3, although there are still so many rifles to fight with. That information in a round where C9 put all their credits on the board. Oh, well, at least they found the first kill. The lurk of Meteor shut down, so 1 danger averted.
That's got to be irritating. If you're waiting to get yourself that ultimate, get the orb, and then you lose a teammate. And in fact, you can see C9 have already fallen back, at least a little bit. Vic's sitting on the edge of the smoke, not wanting to get caught out, and Sylvan's actually killed off Rossi in the meantime, but Vic didn't get seen. Now looking to battle above, has Oxy alongside him as well. They've done well here.
Remarkable job. The fact that Vic gets through that smoke unseen completely disrupts this round from T1. And even now, look, after the dimensional drift, the space they had, they've TP'd out, they've played it back in main, running through a smoke into their death. C9, beautiful adaptation and great read from Vic on the space that was being taken, on the timing of Yoru stepping through that smoke as well. Whether look or planned for, it was perfectly executed. And you see just about on the edge of the screen, they notice the barrel, but in the heat of the moment, it's hard to clock those little pieces of information.
I like the way that they don't shy away from that fight. I think the fact that you see T1 losing a player fairly early on definitely didn't help, but they brought it back from that fray. They got it back to a level position, but just Vic being able to hold on in those back lines. Again, he plays with someone with a lot more tier 1 experience than you might expect. Someone who's come up from that tier 2 scene already, though. With the buy back up for the side of T1, they're actually just walking their way straight in towards the side. The stun is perfect! This could be 2 kills, but Buzz, I don't think he realizes there's a second player there.
He's looking for it. Oh, and he spotted him now. Looking around the smoke for more! Another 3-piece for Buzz, and the round is not over yet. Still 2 that could be taken down, but look at the credits. They're running a bit low, and in a 2v5, no damage done retake, I don't think they're gonna go for this. Those 3 kills may even be the only kills of the round. Buzz single-handedly putting up that 3rd. But you have to, again, look at what we highlighted beforehand. Stacks on the breach, that stun. It could have been, I agree with you, could have been both kills off rip. Buzz did a remarkable job of cleaning them up anyways.
Well, yeah, I think this is the sort of scary prospect. A lot of the time when you look at this B site, you think of that Sentinel. You think of like a Cypher maybe having a cam or having trips, but instead, knowing that that's not on the table, unless there's an aggressive peek or someone actually looking for a fight, Buzz can just walk all the way up. And then they know, okay, where are you likely going to be playing if nobody's peeking that angle? Well, we can throw over our stun on the right-hand side, and yeah, that's where both C9 players are. something that I think they're going to have to adapt to, and we may see a little bit more aggression in some of these rounds from C9, just to make sure that it's not possible for that to happen again.
Slower start. You think back to C9 against G2, it was pistol rounds and 4-0 starts.
Yeah.
Morale was high the whole way through that series. Well, here it is a different story. T1 bringing the pain from barrier up. Now, round number 5. Weapon saved, investment from C9, credits not quite down to the last, but down pretty damn low. Same old story, Buzz. It's only been a couple of rounds, and he's on for his second ult before most of the players have even tasted their first.
It's just genuinely possible he gets it before anyone. It would just be ridiculous, but that's the thing. That's the caliber of player that T1 brought in when they got this guy from DRX. There was a reason that I think a lot of us were sat there thinking maybe Buzz will stay there to the end of his career. Like, why would anybody want this guy to leave? I'm sure it cost them a pretty penny. Moose, good position, but he actually goes to use his smoke. That's a problem. That's already, again, given that walk up to Buzz. Izu's there alongside him as well. These entries are just all too easy, and the stuns from Stacks have been perfect so far. Again, both players caught. An easy opening kills for T1.
Very nice. The breach utility time and time again, as we've seen. It's hitting its mark, and C9 have nowhere to go afterwards because Buzz is on them immediately. Ult is online, and as we said, I believe that is before anybody else gets their ult on. He's had it twice. And no doubt that's going to be useful in the next round, regardless of how they decide to navigate this. C9 saving 2 weapons. It could be a mixed bag buy, could scrape something together. But that's not the problem. Weapons in hand, they've had it. Surviving after the first 40 seconds, that's a different story. I think that's what they're going to be working on as Buzz hunts them all the way down. Luckily, Rossi carries that weapon forward. Oh, he's surrounded.
He's so stuck, but he's just about going to get away with it. No, that's the thing. T1 are playing a lovely game at the moment. It is all about these contact plays. Again, like, you have that double initiator, but if you're able to avoid that initial cycle and find that contact play, you could see that Moose had absolutely no idea that someone was about to walk up, and it's just unlucky. Like, he goes to use the smoke, just like pull back the star, a millisecond as Buzz peaks, and well, let's put it this way. If you don't have your gun ready when Buzz peaks, you are dead. Like, there isn't a split-second notice for that. C9 already going to be taking an early pause. I like this. So, as you said, yesterday there wasn't really a need for Imi to be particularly proactive with his pauses because his team was ahead, I think, the whole game. I don't think there was a moment where they were behind. The closest, I think, was either the beginning or the 7-5 half in the first map. Other than that, they ran away with it. Now is where he earns his big bucks.
Absolutely. When you're down, that's when you need Imi to step it up alongside the rest of the squad. There's a lot that's been going wrong for them, but particularly that B main spot. Sure, the star going down, it was a little bit of a problem. But it's a backside play, whether it's Buzz pushing through, whether it's Izu on the cover of Meteor. Both of those kills they had were their first of the map so far. They're cleaning up that deep aggression. For T1, not much needs to change. And they've got an ult online that C9 have to think about as well. The possibility of Buzz clearing a wide open site and bringing in the cavalry, or finding your stack and sending the squad the other way. They don't have a ton of options. If they wanted to gamble something, it might end up being a mistake because of that dimensional drift. Looks like Buzz will give a fight on mid.
Yeah, the defensive side this round have opted to try and take some early control. They've got a little bit of information onto Izu, but I'm somewhat more interested in the fact that Oxy is posted up. They've tried to put him in position to potentially fight versus what has been a pretty weak B-site defense. Put your star player in and hope that he can do the work.
See if the adjustment is enough. The mid push is coming in from C9, but it might be too little too late. The timing here is key. Oxy has the cavalry coming his way. A decoy leading the charge. That is not a decoy, though. That's Buzz that he's facing. The first shots don't land, and he fires away as Zeppa takes the flank. The 3-man mid push finally comes into play, and it's caught them by surprise with Izu down. This round may be done. Buzz tries to take it into his own hands. Instead, it will be Stacks with that task. 3 to drop, and he won't even get the first. 2 on the board for C9, and the adjustment, the mid push, it looked like it might have been a few seconds too late, but they got there just in the nick of time.
Yeah, I think the goal for Oxy was pretty much just stay alive as long as possible. Spot out that early peak. If you get a kill, great. If not, just make sure you fall away. But you could see all the utility that was tagging him as he was attempting to fall back. But it bought just enough time for that flank to come in. Zeppa landing both shots, and you could tell that there was absolutely no idea from the side of T1 that there was anybody that close on their flank. A good reaction, a good response, and evidently a great pause. It's whether or not they can keep doing that, because a three-man mid push, it will get you around. I don't know if you can do that consistently.
Well, no, you really can't. This was a well-played round, but again, yeah, like you say, on that standard hold on the site, how will they fare? Well, it's certainly the same setup on the B site with Oxy sticking around to look for aggression, but it's the other side of the map that T1 now focus on. And we've seen this, the last dimensional drift, which, again, it is only round 7, but it was towards this side of the map as well, very, very early on. Buzz will find it wide open, just as before, making sure that Vic doesn't run through the smoke this time. It's a nice passive post plant, but they are going to leave Buzz up close until he gets spotted by the drone.
I think it's the immediate use of the null command means that a lot of the utility is currently out of play. A good start from Rossi. He was fantastic in the retakes yesterday, and that's going to grant him his ultimate as well. Wanting to try and clear out this backline, but he's not going to connect. Doesn't land on any of the players. And that Rolling Thunder is available. Could be used to try and deny, and in fact, it's not even needed just yet. They've used that grab well, pulled a player off, and then had the aftershock. There's so much delay utility. Now the Rolling Thunder goes in. This post plant is looking crispy clean from the side of T1. In fact, every single kill is going their way. Sylvan with 3, and another round on the board for T1.
Well, most of the rounds are coming off of 3 pieces. Usually it's Buzz, but now Sylvan stepping up, and like we said beforehand, it's the depth that this roster brings to bear. Stacks. You know, although Sylvan and Buzz, 8 kills, it stacks with 7 assists, and you're seeing it here. That breach utility, look at the kill feed. All 3 of those kills, all 4 of the last kills, in fact, come off the back of Stacks.
But the thing is, that's what this composition has in post-plant. Like, they can get aggressive, they can make these plays around Buzz, but the fact that they have the Gravwell, and then straight after the Gravwell, it's like, okay, they want to get back on that immediately, aftershock. So there's no way they could be diffusing. He then holds the Rolling Thunder, so he goes, okay, now you're going to try and diffuse, and we're going to push back in with the Rolling Thunder. It was a perfectly played post-plant.
Oh my, I've not seen this one before. A spawn battle is occurring with a player tucked in the corner from the attack. Sylvan's just swung out and blindsided the whole squad. That B push decimated, and the same thing happens on A. Using the weaker weapons, using the Blade Storm, and a bit of aggression. C9 tried to bridge the gap, but this one has fallen. The C9 1-1 split. A Sheriff in a frenzy. Well, whoever takes this challenge is going to find it hard to even land 1 kill, let alone the round.
Yeah, I have a little bit more faith in the Sheriff. I felt like it would come down to basically just not clearing a corner for Zeppa to get anything. And, well, they kind of know where you are, Buzz. This is not going to get any easier.
It might seem like a weird decision up against pistols in a 4v2 to use that ult. You definitely don't want to get caught off guard by a guy in the corner. And Rossi's on it again. And at the end of the day, we have to realize that the ult economy cycle is a little different for T1 because Buzz has his ult every 2 rounds. So
yeah,
you always got that in the back of your mind. 6-2 start. Couple of bumps in the road, but T1 have navigated those extremely well. The suspension's intact, and, well, for C9, the question remains, do they have a consistent, a reliable answer to what T1 are putting down?
I will say, you have to look back at the matches they played throughout this tournament on Abyss, and you're seeing 13-11 wins and thinking, okay, this doesn't look great for C9. They were 9-3 attack half and a 10-2 attack half. So the fact that they're on the defense right now, this is not the be-all and end-all. They're going to want to try and get a few rounds, but where they've been fantastic is... Oh, I thought for a second if he didn't have the updraft, he was gone. Okay, that's a nice start. Meteor's been caught a couple of times in these lurks, and when he does, it really opens up the map for the rest of C9. A lot of the time, he's left to lock down an entire half of it. Any of his utility also goes offline, so that's going to be troublesome now for T1. They have to either pick up the pace or make sure they're not being flanked.
And Vic is pretty consistently doing that damage through the smoke, dropping Meteor, as you said, that utility that's now out of the round, a big player gone. Although this map, there's certainly been no shortage of heroes. in this series, you will hear a lot more of Meteor's name. I can guarantee that. Moose has a challenge on his hands. Decoy, flash, stun, everything coming his way. Another flash, but he's not seen. He's not being spotted. Holding the other side of that smoke, buying time for Rossi to come into play. He'll make it on top of the boxes. 5 bullets left. He wants to swap weapon, but he won't get a chance. Down to just stacks. Oxy chipping away at the attacking side. Has left Breach half of his HP and the plant secured. Okay, there's a chance.
What?
Not the right weapon in a 1v2? What was Stacks thinking?
Where was he going with that one? He's like, you know, I've seen this one. I'm going to get a collat on the last 2 players.
70
I'm not
HP,
sure.
he's like, maybe they'll split up like Scooby-Doo this? I don't know. That's a wild play.
Even if he was going to fall back to main with that plant, it's like, yeah, that's such a gamble. I don't know. Clearly, I do not understand the mind of Stacks sometimes, but that's okay. That's okay. 6-3. But yeah, even though Moose only gets 1 kill, it's the amount of time and chaos that he provides. Like, it just allowed other players to get back into the site. And while Rossi goes down as well, and immediate trades coming through from the remaining players, and they caught the player off that was lurking. I think that's a big part of T1's game at the moment, is just having that map locked down. When they're able to be pressured from elsewhere, they almost feel like they have to rush it a little.
Oh, here we go from Oxy. He's walked about, but he's a little late to the party already. Sending it in the other direction as Izu picks up one. It's Rossi. Down and out of that A site as rotations come in. The stack up will be here, and it'll be here on time for T1. They don't know that their flank has been pushed up on, that Oxy is gambling this entire half of the map into his hands and allowing a 3-man stack up on A. Good stun.
The scary thing is letting T1 get into the post bomb. You can see that almost looking to try and fight in front of it. Good flash, but the trade, again, is almost immediate. And it's going back and forth with T1 initially sticking the land, and instead the Moose looks to trade it back. Puts it into the 1 versus 1. 2 players who've been phenomenal this entire tournament. But Oxy with potentially only 1 shot. That operator, if you miss, could be his undoing. He's got the right read, though, waiting patiently for Izu. C9 close that distance just a little more as Oxy wins the round.
Oh, they're back in the game. And you gotta look at a man like Moose, getting away with it again, tucked in the same corner, the same spot. And they don't clear him, they walk right past. Hunter's Fury was great, they pumped the brakes, and then there's more players here than they were ready for. Blinded to the position, the same player, the same spot, back-to-back rounds, and well, I'll tell you what, I think they'll be clearing it next time, but it could be too late. C9's foot is in the door. The credits aren't that healthy. T1 can still run away with the end of this half, but foundation's built. The American side, Oxy will again push up with that operator, post himself in, and T1 still content with the same old setup. Although Moose, he's not gonna go any further, just trying to get something off the recon.
Well, you won't be surprised to hear Buzz has got his ultimate again. A chance for that dimensional drift. And the way they used it in the last attempt was great. Oh, because he's got walkabouts. He's got almost the whole team facing off against him. I don't know how he survives this one. He's picked up a rifle and is dancing with death, but finally, he will meet him face to face.
He's fake TP'd. He just used a gate crash up into B heaven for now. They think that they're about to be pinked on that B site from right up top. Cosmic Divide comes in. They've cleared it now. They saw the gate crash was a fake, but the eyes were diverted. It's bought time for them to step up close. A sneaky play by Zeppa. Up on top of the box, he grabs himself one. Drop down from Vic. Good for another reveal. He knows exactly where that player is, but they know he's not defusing. They can see it now. They see it's being stuck in the swing in from Stacks Perfect. He escapes with his life, but Zeppa hunting them down from above secures another round for C9. Just 1 behind. This was a slow start, but they've gotten on the board.
I really love the Cosmic Divide. I have to say, the fact that you could allow your opponent to defuse and still see it going on the other side, but it didn't matter. That round was all Zeppa. The fact he finds a gap around the Divide in the first place, up above on the box, that gives them that advantage, and then from then onwards he just plays around their Divide, uses it against them the entire time, and they don't even know where to look, where he's coming from. Now, I premised earlier in the half at 6-2 that this C9 team has been immense on the attack. Now they're on 5 rounds. Honestly, I think they're in the lead here.
I mean, it's a great adjustment as well by C9. The fact that we saw them getting on top, not allowing that post plant to be set up, those players to fall back, the breach utility having to be used from right up next to the Cosmic Divide. They're starting to feel out. If we let T1 have the post plant, if we give them the space, it's going to be a tough round to take back. They smothered it in the previous round. Let's see if they can do it here. A lot of utility slowing down that push. These choke points have been well held after the first sign of aggression. And that's something that now gets T1 second guessing. Is there a player behind? Have they got the wrong timing on the round? Should they go somewhere else? Still a minute on the clock, but all 5 still in this choke point.
Looking at that Rolling Thunder. Last time it was used in post, but I think this time it might be used to entry. Just looking to try and force them all the way back, and then combining it with that Cosmic Divide to give them space. Buzz in quick succession has managed to get himself a couple. It's already looking pretty poor for the side of C9. Just 2 players stood between them in a 7th round.
Well, there's no concept of saving at this point, but that's a bit of trouble. The trap spotting one, the operator walking into the angle that Buzz just gave up, and he sees the barrel just in time. And now it looks like it all is over. Another 3-piece round for T1. The 7-5 is locked in at the half. They will keep the lead, but this was looking like it was going to be a lot more convincing 10 minutes, 15 minutes ago.
Yeah, I would say, especially right now for C9, as said, like in some of the matches we've seen from them in this tournament, they struggled on the defense and then had crazy comebacks over on the attack. This doesn't need to be a crazy comeback.
Yeah,
they just need to have a solid half, win the pistol, and you're right back level again. And of course for T1, we haven't seen what they have on this map. This is a new look roster. Of course, they've got some fantastic individual players. I think Meteor is much more likely to have a high level of impact over on the defense playing that Cypher. I think he's going to be someone that C9 have to take time to root out of position, maybe even work out where he is. But then you have the flip side, the other dynamic of Buzz. He's likely going to be pulling in that operator at a time. On the Jet, he was always absolutely filthy, being able to reposition. Well, it can be exactly the same here.
I love it. The start of this map, what an exciting affair for T1. Certainly got the blood pumping. And C9, man, they've already shown us that they've got that extra depth. As we said, up against G2, it's an easy game. They're running away with it. And those are not ones where you're tested as an IGL, where you're tested as a coach, where, sure, in the round to round, but it's really the losses that will put that pressure on, and they have done a phenomenal job here. This could have been a very one-sided half, and instead, there's more than enough potential for C9 to swing back into it. Like you said, it's not even a comeback at this point. The comeback is over, close to neck and neck, and a pistol round could set them on the path to redemption. Let's see how this one pans out, as we're diving back into half number 2. Pearl up next, Bind thereafter. I'm looking forward. At least we get Bind no matter what. But honestly, with how things have gone with that first half, I'm getting more and more confident we're going to all 5.
I have to hope so. Split as a decider would always be exciting. It's where I want every series to end, but I'm sure there's many that will differ in opinion. C9 now on that attack. I said, like, they get into those post plants, and this really does become scary. You can talk about the Astra as a whole, but already with the KO, you also have that fragment, shock darts, and if you need to get back in, if you still have it, the paranoia. But for now, at least, they're building up in towards that A site. And Oxy already taking a ridiculous amount of space and 2 heads to go with it. We'll look for a little bit more, but he's done his job.
Still alive as well. Got out of there, not unscathed.
Spike
Thankfully, he's still alive, otherwise numbers would be even. T1 taking lots of damage, same could be said the other direction, but that man advantage and players tucked away deep in main. Oxy, though, is going aggressive, is walking through this smoke, and now they clear it. They don't know that that small little corner was wide open for Oxy. 5 HP, and he's picked up 2 more. An ace on the card, stacks quite low as well. And on his way to heaven, this is perfect. And they're giving him the space as well. They know this is Oxy's moment. They want him to be the one to finish it off. And up we go, finding that player. He's being spotted, but no. The ace is denied. The round is a different story. C9 have taken the pistol, now just 1 round behind.
This was a guy who, you go back to last year, that 3-2 defeat in the grand final. He got 92 kills, 80 deaths. He was a superstar. And throughout the season in Americas, there were always those glimpses of what Oxy could do, and you're seeing them here again. He is the player to beat when he's on his day, moves himself to the top of the board. And as said, now C9 move further and further into that driver's seat, having those opportunities to play on that attack side, have Oxy as that entry, that pinnacle part of the team. We had the interview earlier on stream with Tarek, and he was saying, I don't want to put pressure on him, but I think the guy who's going to do it in the grand final is Oxy. You can kind of see why. You know, that guy knows something about FPSs. It's crazy.
Does seem to be a safe bet. This push might not be though. Lots of pistols.
Okay.
And a classic is the one that's getting the job done. A flash here from Zephyr. A push through and a couple of kills, but it does little to give them the advantage. In fact, rifles now recoverable. Their opponents will be armed, 2 weapons defending the spike and an unknown, which is Stacks. Shots from Rossi, 57, stunned up as well. It should be easy to clean him up. And the last one standing falls as well. It seemed like the path to redemption was cleanly paved, but instead, a few more bumps persist. T1 fighting right back in round 14.
I'll just eat my words. All right. This was not where I expected the tide to turn. Sylvan does well. Zephyr tried his best to bring that back, but again, it's just that synergy coming out for the team. Well, that is going to be a huge boost. Picking up a couple of those Guardians, buying rifles alongside it, and it leaves the side of C9 with very little. And they might potentially try and fight for some orbs here. Oxy is 2 away, already has himself the light shield, so I can only assume that that's the goal. Get him Blade Storm, hope he can put everybody in his backpack and carry them through the round.
It's not a bad strategy. Let's see if it works out for C9. They've got the first orb on lock, moving towards this B site. And I like the fact that they are just sticking as a unit. We've seen what pistols can do in just the previous round for T1, for Sylvan. It was a classic up close, his teammate drawing their eye from further apart. And you can see that they're certainly knowledgeable about this strategy. The shock darts sent out from Izu, but he's gonna have to do damage with his rifle because here comes the Blade Storm. Backside cleared. Oxy not risking it all just yet. He knows if he goes down, this round is probably not going their way. Dodges the decoy, down to 1 blade and he's out. Out of luck and out of life. Buzz with the triple, a staple of these T1 rounds. A C9 send Moose over the edge.
Something G2. Like, just
they can't keep getting away with this.
Not wanting to give Buzz more orbs. You've already had to come up against that ultimate 3 times in this matchup, so you understand why they're not wanting to give anything else over. There's definitely an attempt made, but this is the round where you kind of feel like C9 need to make a resurgence. Like, you get yourself back in. You grind out some rounds at the end, you win the pistol, and then you lose a round like that, and it could easily put a spanner in the works, boom the mental. I'm waiting to see at some point if T1 actually look to play off of that stun. Because this looks like conditioning from them. That's a couple of rounds in a row where they are just placing that down.
We'll talk about this on Bind as well, how they use their Brim smokes early from Sylvan to take some space on Bath and then just send him in the other direction. I mean, it's fairly normal play, but here, the stun is so much more oppressive. You can't simply just flash through. You give up the space early. You look for the space elsewhere on the map, and you walk straight into Buzz's crosshair. Rossi's head ripped off, taken down before the round really begins, as you see C9 still spreading a wide net, looking to catch any form of aggression from T1, and they may get it just here. Buzz, oh, he spotted another 2, and it's always the 3-piece for T1. He has backed off, though. Before he can find it, Sylvan steps in to put the numbers more so in their favor.
Yeah, you go looking for where Buzz has gone, and instead you find a teammate. There may be many that don't worry too much coming into this tournament, but you heard from Buzz earlier, he wants to win. He used another word, but I can't say that. And you've seen it so far in this grand final. He's not looking tired, not wilting from the earlier 3-map series that they won versus Foot. If anything, it looks like he's warmed up. And for the remaining players of C9 in this round, well, they don't want to throw all of their guns into the wind. There'll be no falling off the map this time, fingers crossed. And T1 are starting to go hunting. They're starting to try and find out where these weapons have gone, but they are so far away, there's no chance.
Yeah, they know it as well. It would be a mistake if C9 decided to save to give them any further aggression. Those weapons will be brought through to the next round, but we're running out of runway for C9. And this is why, I'm going to guess, C9 have called a little pause. And indeed it is a timeout for Cloud9, much needed. This is their last timeout, and at 10-6, this better be a foolproof strategy.
Yeah, I think the last time we saw this pause, it did have impact. It was the time that they then pushed middle and made that sort of aggressive defensive play. So clearly, there's faith in the words of Imi, but it's just whether or not that it can turn the tide this late. Like, you are up against double digits, you're 4 rounds behind, you've got Buzz popping off. Silver's been having a great game as well. I think sort of flown under the radar a little bit, even though he's definitely been having impact over on that Astra. And for that attack side, there's been glimpses. Oxy with his 4K, I think Zeppa's 3K as well. Moose with his defense and dancing around the smokes. But they're gonna need a little bit more here. And this might not be their map choice. Obviously, T1 have clearly picked this and looked at how they played it the last couple of times. But you still feel for C9, when you're going into a map that you are 3-0 with this roster, you want to take this.
This should do.
You would imagine so. You would imagine so. And I mean, as we get out of this pause, the last page of the strat book has been turned. Now they're all on their own to try to hold up that win streak. 4 rounds behind, T1 knocking on victory's door. It looks like they will be facing into a 6-11 scoreline. Just take a look at the economy. Those weapons carried forward for C9 are the only real strong statements they can make. The rest are just going to be a couple of sheriffs. No reason they can't win a round like this. We've seen T1 take plenty. The shoe's on the other foot now. Let's see if they can match the pace. Buzz catches Oxy immediately.
It was close. Buzz took a lot of damage through that smoke, but even still, that's the star player down. They've still managed to grab onto those 2 weapons, getting into the post plant. We mentioned it with this composition that that's where things can get tough. They don't have the fragment, and Moose is going to try and get aggressive. Zeppa has been successful, but Moose will not manage the same. And in fact, it's Silver once again looking to trade things back. They know exactly where Vic is. The flash comes in. Rossi now to try and do it all with the Sheriff in hand and Hunter's Fury in his back pocket. His opponent will know this. Still a huge weapon disadvantage, but may just try and pop it in. No, he's going for the peak already. He's just waiting on the angle, but Rossi, confident as ever, will land the headshot anyway.
That was a much needed hero round for a second. I could see him popping that Hunter's Fury and the defuse just being stuck under his nose, but the jump peak to confirm. But that player was sticking it, and the swing out, the confidence for his 3-piece, beautiful.
He was waiting. That wasn't him still defusing. That was him waiting, gun in hand. That had to be the headshot. Otherwise, the round was slipping away. And I think everybody watching, you're expecting that Hunter's Fury to be used. As was Izu. He was waiting for that to happen. And the fact that Rossi almost outbrains him, goes, no, I'm going to play this a completely different way to what you expect.
That was his Jim West moment right there, and he lived it all the way. The Desperado taking these rounds and putting them into the pocket of C9. 3 in the difference now for C9. A Hunter's Fury is available thanks to that hero play. And they don't look to continue with pace to get in T1's face. Instead, they sit back and say, okay, boys, what's the reaction? What are you going to do? Where are you going to push? But with a minute on the clock, T1 haven't moved. They're content in their A setup with Cypher locking it down. The drone on mid, not spotting a ton. Just an Omen floating about, but he did seem to be shifting to the B site. That's information for T1.
The op now in hand for Buzz.
Oh,
something that's not been witnessed. They wouldn't expect that to be there yet. Hunter's Fury kept, but he's already out of there. Looking for another player on the site, and well, there's 3 to be found, but none connected. Another landed for Buzz. Izu there alongside him. It's an absolute slaughter as they look to enter into the site. And while the last clutch was tough, this one is impossible. Another round for T1. They extend that lead further. And again, they put the finances of C9 in the dust.
What's setting up this squad as what appear to be favorites, what feel like favorites in some of these rounds, is that they're losing a round, T1 are. And then they're immediately fighting back. There's a response every time. And for C9, stringing together rounds it's tough.
This goes here. Oh,
With 4 rounds in the difference, that has to change. As these barriers go up, it won't quite be the last time, but we are getting there. And T1 with some aggression, you could say. That same stun that we've seen many times put down, this time used to get Buzz jumping around the map. A risky play. Always has a gate crash if he falls. And setting him up with the operator to hold that position. We saw Oxy push B when it was the other half and hold that with the op. This is a different interpretation of the same sort of idea.
But this was a plan in the making. This is something that they've been setting up for many, many rounds. And for the attack side, they don't know how much ground they've already lost. There'll be 3 players within this B site. Rossi, the only man with a rifle. And Oxy trying to lead the charge. He's got an opportunity, but it's only going to be the trade. Still, that's a gun on the deck that could be retrieved. The cross, however, held. Again, though, C9 are trading it back. They're making this costly until Izu puts them in the dirt. It leaves just one man standing, and Izu does it all.
12 rounds, 5 chances.
Match point.
To put this map across the line in their favor, we heard from some of the teams that they might even prefer to play their semifinal and go straight into the BO5. It seems counterintuitive, but I'll tell you what, T1 have come into this series hot. That was a bit of a warm-up for them earlier on. And now they're in full sprint. Long enough warm-up, sure. But they took a break in the middle, Tom.
But that's the thing, you're seeing the depth of this roster. Like, Izu was one of the remaining players from last year, someone that had so much promise. Has switched up roles a couple of times and still looks like he's playing with relative ease. Because that round was getting dicey. Now, well, the whole map has gone wrong for C9. 5 rounds behind. Again, Oxy looking to try and take space. They've got Meteor, though. That will definitely make things a bit easier.
Yeah, stepping through that cosmic divide was a risk. Not one that has paid off this time around.
Spike planted.
Stacks up top, ready to react, but looks like Oxy gonna be the one stepping in to take that fight, and the spam through the smoke is good enough, equalizing the numbers and getting rid of a big duelist. Now Sylvan following the drone as the decoy comes through. There's one man already up close. They haven't spotted him just yet. Here comes the decoy, blinded up as Zeppa. Players all around, he gets to swing in, but that diffuser needs to be dealt with from their side, and it stacks. 4 kills under his belt. Rossi, reveal might help out, but the op is a worry in the back of his mind. Never mind. You don't want nada when it comes to Rossi in these clutch situations. It was 5 chances for T1, now down to 4.
That's another Red Bull clutch from him. You put him in those late rounds, and this is exactly what he does. Again, you look at that Hunter's Fury and go, could that be put into play? He actually earns it off the back of these kills. Just fakes out with the dart, tries to get them to just have a split second of doubt, give him the advantage in those fights. And this is where he just does his best work all the way through the series. Yesterday, he has proven to be a demon in the clutch. A cerebral player. And wow, Izu throws in a Hunter's Fury of his own, wanting to try and catch someone early.
I do like the idea. They used the stun there as well, right? So you stun up in main. Around mid, you fire off the Hunter's Fury. It could be a kill. In this kind of round, that could be the map win as a result. But that gamble hasn't paid off for T1. I hear some noise outside of A. The rotations are coming into play. And the concern here, Stacks, Rolling Thunder online. We've seen this be devastating on the attack. And now, with the right read, T1 could use this to crumble the final round here.
Buzz in position. He's let one go. Knew that shot wasn't worth going for, and eventually he goes down, though. The Hunter's Fury of Rossi has caught another, but Sylvan, the Silent Slayer, sits at the back of the site. Someone they have to deal with, someone they have to clear. The spike dropped. Oxy's still in an aggressive position and yet to be clear, but he has been spotted. They should definitely know that he's still around this position, but he's wary for his teammates, trying to give them space to get that plant.
Oh, Oxy! Those shots are insane, and in a round like this, they were neck and neck just moments ago, but blink and you miss it. Sylvan's out, and T1's runway shortens. 3 rounds now in it, and big plays from C9. You think back to that G2 game, and this is how it started. It was confidence builders, and once they got the ball rolling, there was no slowing it down. If that's the case here, well, never mind going the distance in the series. We could see it on the map.
I can see some frustration for Stacks. Realistically, it's been a few individual plays over the last couple. This should have been done. The 1v2 for Rossi after he gets 4 kills. That last round with Oxy managing to face off versus 2 of them again and get both. The heroes for Cloud9 are starting to arise. And T1 want to stamp this out. Next round, finances start to get a little bit dicey, but they've got some good ults available for this one. You guessed it, Dimensional Drift's available. This is interesting, though. Oxy really is taking a vast amount of space. The drone, though, is well-timed and will give the game away.
You know, they're sending it back now, retreating from that aggressive middle stance. Where do they take it? Well, that's really what Buzz is trying to answer. Sending the Dimensional Drift out. There's one spotted deep, one up close. That's his victim. A potential kill for Buzz, but in fact he backs out. I thought he was going to stick around for the fight, but didn't send the decoy, and instead just uses this to cause some chaos in the back of their minds. 35 seconds, and it's time for C9 to bring this spike towards the site. Vic will be TPing in wherever they decide, making noise on A, getting the rotation with Oxy, and the plant on B as a result. Beautiful round from C9.
Yeah, they just left him to cause mischief, and that's exactly what he's done. They knew as well that they had the From the Shadows available, so they could leave Vic in a spot where he could go either way, but then at the last second could easily teleport in. They sell a ruse using that null command, and the immediate response, rightly so, from T1 is to go, okay, let's rotate. Let's try and take back some control. We've just cleared mid. We just used a null, knew they were very far back. And that's where, again, Oxy is able to strike. But once more, you look at this attack side for C9 and say the calling has just been fantastic. Using these late bait plays. These are risky. If these go wrong, one of your players goes in, dies, or maybe Oxy gets nothing, you can see the T1 side go for a retake, have a man advantage, and it's a problem. But these risks right now are paying off.
This looked like a... Oh, no. Couple more weapons removed. It looked like a really big task for C9. 5 rounds in a row when they'd struggled to connect more than 3, and hey, we've just hit that mark. But for T1, now the stress is really felt. The first timeout used by the defensive side, 12-10. There's only 2 more rounds in regulation. They've left it down to the last moment to touch base with their coaching staff. I guess making use of C9's pauses as the rounds went on and not feeling like they had that much to fix. But now they've run into a brick wall a couple of times. And sometimes that brick wall has run into them. So it's time to touch base and come back stronger before this goes to overtime.
Damn, that's some real team cohesion right there. How many sides did that take to pull that one off? Fair play, fair play.
That's a couple of markers.
But yeah, this is the first pause in this match going the way of T1. Autumn looking to touch base. As I said, go back to 2020. This man was part of the Cloud9 organization alongside Buzz. It was the Korean iteration of that roster, which I'm sure if you look back, will have some familiar faces on it. I believe Zeta has also played for both orgs. So it really was like a sort of switch up, both teams having similar ideas at different times. But that's one of the stories we spoke about. Rossi taking on the org that literally just let him go. And to be honest, he's been putting up a fight. The 1v2, didn't want to let it slip away. I'm looking at this op, though. In the hands of Moose, they're clearly looking for someone specific.
Well, that drone has seen a lot towards the back of side. I'm not sure that they spotted Meteor. And him being inside the smoke now could be a bit of a surprise. Indeed it is. A kill found. Sylvan doubling up. And the walls closing in on C9. It's Moose and Zeppa to put themselves back in with a chance. Zeppa so low. Moose has managed to recover an operator, and the spike could be planted from this point. With the op covering the cross, well, it's been traded out to a rifle. Not going to be quite as strong of a position. Time ticks and T1 wait. Looking instead to group up, and that spam nearly deadly.
Now they can look to play that post. A 2v2. Rolling Thunder will leave him stunned, but it's a chance for Moose to peek. It gives away at least one of the players' position. That Gravwell will at least buy them a little bit of extra time, but not long. They're going to have to go for the swing eventually, and there it goes! It's Buzz to get both! T1 will take their map choice and go in ahead.
Well, as we hoped, it ends up being a close one, 13-10, a sign of what's to come. These two teams closely matched, but in the end, Buzz stepping up on that stage. We hyped him up. We said he ages like
bloods.
Fine wine. 9 first bloods, 25 and 15.
He's pretty good.
He's going to be tough to match that performance as the series goes on, but you know what? I think there'll be a few challengers.
T1 storming through that portal with a swagger in their step as they take their pick in Abyss. C9 fight and fight and fight. But T1 clutched up when it really matters. They've been on fire all day long and they just don't show any signs of cooling off here, despite the fact that C9 really took it to them at the end there, took some real risks. And we were rewarded at times, but T1 just showing up when it really mattered towards the right of the death there, Mitch.
Yeah, I mean, look, they started it out well too. Buzz with a knife kill in round 1 for a 3-piece as well. I mean, you could tell that they were feeling it, but there was definitely a moment. Despite the fact that C9 were not able to have these commanding streaks of rounds, there was a couple 3 in a row, a couple spots here and there, and those flashes in the pan were enough to at least get it heated in the end. But for C9, it wasn't enough. Good thing is, though, this wasn't their map pick.
Absolutely. What it was, though, was somewhat level playing field when it comes to quality. And the matchup itself now, it looks like it should be what we want it to be, and that is a long rolling affair, because these two are head-to-head and matching each other in so many different ways.
Yeah, I think the fun thing about this match was the fact that you can go through pretty much every player in the server and say they had a moment. Like, I think Oxy had a couple the dives in to sort of win them rounds. I think Zeppa towards the end especially just had some crazy clutch. I thought he was going to win out that last round, if I'm being honest. Like, he was insane. And then Rossi up against his old team. I don't know, he might say that there's nothing there, but the way he won that 1v2 clutch, I think it was a couple of them, right? There was 2 1v1 clutches.
4-piece
One of them, he had himself a Hunter's Fury and like mind-gamed his opponent. I don't know, I think he wants to win this as badly as anyone on that stage.
Absolutely, clutch machine, and it feels like to me, despite being on the losing side here, we've got to give him his props, because Rossi just, he thrived in those late rounds, didn't he? It's like he was buzzing off it.
Yeah, I mean, you saw it there, the 4K that ended up closing out a round that kept the heart of C9 beating. You go back and he was doing it with he was 6-gunning this, going out there with the Sheriff, and it didn't matter.
Running this.
Buffalo Soldier, man, it's like I told you. At the end of the day, this is a player you don't want to mess with. He's a fantastic IGL, he's young, he's articulate in the interviews, but my God, it was shown to us in that interview. He knows his opponents, and now I'm excited to see when we get to their map pick, when we get to Comfort, what C9 will have planned, because this was their opponent's battleground. Granted, one where maybe we expect them to do well, but they did well. Now it's on the home turf.
How good is Buzz?
We all do. Like, this is the, like, if there was going to be, like, least surprising thing of the tournament, it was that Buzz is a good duelist. Like, the guy has been doing this for, like, what, 4 years now, playing, as said, originally in that sort of C9 career roster, going to, well, Vision Strikers, DRX, like, playing within a team for such a long time, playing with Stacks, and now that duo back together, like, literally, like, the first 4 or 5 rounds, we just kept seeing, there's a stun from Stacks and 2 kills from Buzz. There's a stun from Stacks. Like, it was just like these guys being back together. It like warms my heart. I'm still not quite like ready for them wearing a T1 jersey. I'm still not used to that yet. I'm like, that's not white.
I saw
blue.
the Stacks interview and he tapped it. I was like, that's the DR. Oh, it's T1 logo.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
What we can see here as well, just behind you fellas, over your shoulder, is the trophy. And every single time these players complete a map, like we just saw it then, they have to walk right past it.
That is a bit mean.
It is. But it isn't for the one who ends up lifting it. But it's right there.
Me.
It's mean for you.
It's gonna disappear.
But you're right, C9 get their pick next, and they're not going to exit that map at all with their heads down, you know, tail between their legs, because they fought so hard, and it was still a successful outing for a lot of the players, despite it not being a W.
Oh yeah, I think they'll look at that and go, okay, there were a few moments here and there. It took us some time to sort of adapt to the contact plays that were happening early on, and I think again, like Imi will, whenever they took a pause, you could see the value he brought. There was immediate responses coming out from the team. So I think the fact that he now has a few minutes to talk to him rather than, what, like 30 seconds, there's a good chance that he's going to go, okay, we now head into a map we're confident on. We literally got to watch them play it and lose it against Foot earlier today. I think they're going to be confident going into Pearl.
Well, I'm confident that we've got an absolute cracker of a Red Bull home ground grand final here in Berlin, and we are just getting started. Map 2 is coming up very soon. 4. T1 take their map pick. Tom and Mitch, let's get into it.
Thank you very much, Ian. This is going to be one hell of a matchup. We're expecting great things from C9, players like Oxy, and well, Rossi has delivered every step of the way, but for T1, Buzz is on fire. Izu in a new role as well. Let's see if they can step their Pearl up to new heights. 1-0 advantage for T1 coming into this map, but this is, of course, the map pick of Cloud9.
Berlin, are you still with us? Gotta make sure. Make sure they're ready for this one. We are going to be looking at that aggressive position from Izu, looking to get up in the face of the opponents. As said, this defensive side needs to be disruptive. You've got a Neon and a Yoru. He's looking for a pick and maybe an attempt to get out of there. It doesn't look like that's an option. He's just going to have to try and stick around. He's been cleared eventually, and well, it's going to be the one and done.
Oh, he was caught by surprise, but still able to get the one across the line. Better than it could have been. A lot of presence, though, from C9. The B side is wide open for business. Stack's going to rely on a quick recon to bridge the gap, give them a kill or two, but it's avoided, and a step out from Rossi is gorgeous. All down to Sylvan. He impressed us on the previous map, but this would blow us away.
Yeah, the Rossi revolver. Pulling out that Sheriff and just landing 2 crazy shots. He's been so good in these pistol rounds. Sylvan! What is that? 3 kills in a blink of an eye, and now it comes down to the 1v1. He had his moments in that first map, was a superstar, but clearing out Zephyr is not going to be easy, and thankfully for C9, there was a safe pair of hands to make sure that didn't get out of control.
I don't think I can take much more of that. Let's calm it down. C9.
No, let's slow it down. I want to see that again.
It was nice on the first, the read on the second, and right back to the same angle.
I think most players wouldn't even have the sensitivity to do that.
No.
Either that or he's just broken his wrist.
My wrist hurts looking at that. What a phenomenal play. And yeah, well, I said if he wins, even just that attempt, that blew me away. Phenomenal. Now 1-0 for C9 nonetheless. They found the pistol, and the impact of Sylvan's play will not be felt. Perhaps the ultimate orbs, but that's about it. Vic, he's ready. He's spotting the walk up. Although we've seen Izu tuck into the corner already. In the pistol round, he showed us that he wants to take advantage of these nasty little spots. And it's no different here in round number 2. A kill or two would be huge, but he is immediately checked.
I was about to say, yeah, doing that in back-to-back rounds, sure, it's a different spot. C9 are already aware. They are definitely going to be checking every single aggressive spot. And okay, he'll waste some time going forward, and maybe if he's quicker on the trigger, he can get out of there with Yoru utility, but I feel like it's been made very clear what's going to be coming out from him. Not a bad start, though. A couple of kills coming off the back of the Classics. This was a minor investment for the side of T1. Anything more would be truly worrying, but in the end, they are going to end up retrieving those remaining rifles. But this is where the going should get a little bit tougher for the side of Cloud9. You're going to have the rifles across the board. Oxy's got a Bucky, which, I'll be honest, that's all you really need to know in the round. Like, we've seen so many audacious, ridiculous plays with this gun. In fact, he's now given it to Rossi. See, Rossi is the type of teammate you want. He has just gone, you take my rifle while playing Neon, and I'll take your Bucky. Oh, I'll take my rifle back.
He'll have that one, or he'll have a chance to if they can take Izu out of the equation. Done a good job of that. Buzz tagged up on the cross as well. Good damage dished out by C9 early on. The options for Buzz to leave this position will be limited, although there's stars coming back online. Sylvan now has one to play with, but in a precarious position, having pushed up behind. T1 have them boxed in. They know the play is coming to be. The drone will only further confirm it. And at this point, all they have to do is sit and wait. If they go back on the C9 side, if they try to take it to A, and Sylvan's going to spot that immediately. A 3-man hold, and they're walking right into it.
Oh, they shot the dart for Buzz, but he still ended up being revealed anyway. A cleanup with Meteor remaining on the site. He wasn't necessarily the danger man that we're used to seeing. They're going to try and run it all the way back. Now, the player holding off on the cross is gone. But Sylvan is definitely going to hear these steps. He might even be able to get there on time. He's hearing absolutely everything. The trip being spotted. Can he take one with him? No. Vic's going to bypass. This does allow Meteor to hightail it the entire way to the other side of the site, and he still has some utility to delay them a little more. Landing the shot on the player with the spike could be enough, but they're just about going to get that plant in.
Yeah, Sylvan has to fight his way through, and the spike's already planted. That means there's a firing squad awaiting a high-low setup that puts C9 back to winning ways. This is the same squad that that we saw up against G2. Strong starts in the early half. Remember, last map, even picking up a pistol wasn't enough with an immediate answer from T1, and that could have been the difference maker in a game that's 13-10. Now, C9 have that same wind back in their sails. They're not, for now at least, going to see too much of a challenge in round 4. T1, light investment.
I don't know if you heard that. He basically said exactly what I wanted to say. Beautiful call. It's a super late round switch up from Rossi to go, okay, let's now go all the way to the back with 30 seconds left. It's a risk again, but you can see the faith this team currently has in their in-game leader. Again, a guy who has just joined this roster, they are fully behind him.
Oh, nice shot by Oxy. Last round, there was only a couple seconds left when the spike went down. They're not looking to keep that same pace here. Straight into the B site. And the plan secured with a 5v1, and the one has a stinger. Nothing to be found by T1. Indeed, the threat's minimal as C9 put a familiar 4-0 lead on the board.
Yeah, pace change. Again, the expectation is there will be aggression. This is just,
that's crazy.
It's so difficult to land the shots on the Neon. This is the thing that people sort of love and despise about this agent. It's just the movement you're able to get away with. And that's the thing, starting out on this attack side, it was always going to be difficult. Like, you're running up against that double duelist. For T1, it means they have to try and pressure, they have to try and get in these firefights. And Oxy is more than happy with that. An immediate removal of any utility, and again, the pace just continues. Izu is ready and waiting with an operator, but he's got to be careful he doesn't get caught. He's already being wrapped on. Luckily, Sylvan has his back.
Solid work, but the damage has been done. Izu down to 5. That op now, 1 hit to most weapons. A very late lurk coming up. Well, there's a minute 13 on the clock, but with how quickly they've taken full control of the site.
Right here.
T1 are looking to push past that cosmic divide and take the space. All that has to be done is to hold the line. Buy time for Moose to wrap all the way around just now, making it into heaven. Rossi, Vic doing their best, and they bought enough time. Moose has now come onto the scene, and the 5 HP operator has to swing into Moose, holding the angle. Gate crash across. He doesn't know if it's a fake or not. The information found with the hat off the head, just 1 bullet needed, and it's landed through the cage. Another round for C9. They hold strong, as these early aggressive stances are working wonders.
I like it. You've seen them be slow and methodical, take it to the last second, and then you see these fast-paced hits, especially in back-to-back rounds. Like when you do it versus an eco, a team might go and read into the fact that, okay, they've done that because our weapons are low. There's no way they'll do that again. An instant null command and straight down middle. Just removing any utility that could have been there, that could have caused them issues. I don't know if we could get a camera on them. They're now doing their stretches as well. If that's not going to get in their heads of the opponent, just like almost sit there while they're stressing about what they're going to do to try and change. And they're doing stretches.
Zeppa on the end of the line, though. Rossi's leading the stretches, and then he's just kicking back, relaxing,
chilling,
taking a breath. Well, a timeout called by T1 after a successful first map with very strong starts to each half. We now see them 5-0 down. It's T1 that have to climb back and avoid the deja vu of last time they played this map as well, where they faced the same kind of domination on the other side.
It's difficult for them as well. Like a lot of the time so far, we've seen these hits towards the B site, and then if there's resistance, late switch up. The problem is they haven't had a lot of utility really to delay them. It's been Izu who's been the point of contact almost every single time. And there's been so much just forcing him into awkward positions, be it just Oxy taking space. You might look at him 2 and 4 down the board. He's just been annoying. Like, he's taken ground, and then someone else has been able to get an opener for it. And then in the late round, they've been sublime. Here he goes again, straight off the bat, forcing them off positions, taking space towards this A side. The rest of the team very far behind, but they are yet to deal with this man, even going to meet his counterpart. Well, it's a little bit of Bucky style for Buzz, but is there more behind it? Okay.
They've got the kill with the nano. Meteor goes down to Zeppa, though, who was holding strong till Buzz stepped up. The gun fingers finding a few, zapping these players out of the round, and maybe C9 soon to taste defeat. For the first time here on Pearl, T1 are putting a round on the board against C9, 5-1. And it is Buzz, the hero that steps up to the plate, more than doubling his kills in that round. It's good to see him back on the board. This is what we were expecting, but maybe not to start out the kill streak with a Bucky.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. You had the aggression, and rightly so, from Oxy, but it was just the fact that that ended up giving the ult over. Buzz pops it, and from that point onwards, I was about to say, I didn't think we'd seen a Buzz ult yet, because we saw so many of them in the last map when he was playing the Yoru.
Like round 3 at the first one.
It took him a bit of time, but when it was in play, it was fantastic. The question now, though, is this the start of bringing this half back? Or is this going to be straight back to C9 taking control? Now, bear in mind, the expectation on this map is normally to see a decent attack side. Here goes Oxy again. Great dart.
Good work by Rossi to get that dart into position to trade out his teammate as well. As Buzz goes down, and the numbers stay in C9's hands. Plant secured. The 4 versus 2. Izu has the ult, but it's not likely to be used. The man looking for impact to Stacks. Finds a killer 2, perhaps. They can throw a bit more at this round. But it is not looking likely. Post-plant utility of Plenty. Astra Star waiting for the tap to come through, and they don't even use it initially. Late round lurk as well by Moose. C9 are guaranteeing that they win this round. Playing the numbers, playing the odds.
They blocked it.
They're
trying to stick it all the way.
Luckily, just in time. The swing comes in. Plenty of players left to clean that up, and well, Moose was happy to see Izu TPing right into him.
Thank God someone was counting. Because that's the thing. A lot of the time, we see it even on the previous map, where you have that grab wall, you just have the thought in your head, like, okay, that's safe. I don't need to swing, I don't need to take a risk. But I think it was just the silence. The fact that for too long, no utility, no move, no
I think the
fight.
recon was on the way, right? So that's sort of the logic, but they got spooked, thankfully.
But it is another round on the board for C9. A defeat in the last map, a surprise pick, to say the least, for T1, that they just about get over the line. Now, though, it's been a dominant start to this map.
Gotta go.
And everybody's been performing as well. As I said, like, Oxy on the board might not like he's doing the best, but he's done his job, and then
I'm out of here.
everybody else has been there to clean up the mess.
Go, go, go.
Moose back on his Sentinel has been fantastic in the late round. Meteor now, though. Well, it's not the operator that we've seen. Instead, he's got that Marshall.
Got
Careful.
the headshot as well.
Down B.
The tag onto Oxy, the headshot for Rossi. And now, well, there's a little bit of danger brewing for that attacking side. Somehow I'm even considering that to be Buzz with a Bucky. He's backing off, though, and conceding the space. And there's not really a fight that T1 want to take at the moment, except for that Marshall swinging out. Another tag. Zeppa and Oxy very low.
This is now very scary indeed. Stacks falls back. Izu's managed to get one with the classic. The flash through is going to delay even further, and they're starting to run out of time. Oxy needs to get something, and in fact, he falls. Still yet to get that plant in, and the fact is, Moose is alone. Vic is still very far away. In fact, by the time he gets here, the clock may already be gone, and with the Cosmic Divide fading, he manages another, but he's still surrounded. Spike on the deck for Vic. I honestly saved the gun. I don't think there's any way he manages to win this. Maybe he can deny them picking up some of the guns.
There's one at least. Yeah, like you said, there's no take in the round. The Thrifty secured, and only one player to carry forward a weapon. Decent damage from Vic. Good housekeeping. It's 6-2. T1's second round now in the last 3 as well. They've been finding their footing.
But that was all Meteor. Like, that's the thing. When you look back to the Gen G roster of last year, when we came into the year, and I know there's going to be people who look at how Texture played and go, oh, this is a stupid comment. But going into that roster at the beginning of the year, we didn't know if Meteor would be the duelist or if Texture would, because they are both phenomenal duelist players. It just so happens that Meteor's also very good at playing the Sentinel. Funnily enough, so is Texture, but it means that you give him a sniper and he can still win you rounds, even if he doesn't necessarily have the kit to back him up.
Especially when you invest into Sheriffs alongside it. Just that one tag makes it so valuable. You saw it, Oxy emerging from a Cosmic Divide, the Astra Wall, and it just one shot to the body from that Sheriff. That's all that was needed. The setup was done. by his teammate. Now 6-2 as we see C9 directing themselves into that alarm bot, held by Sylvan, but not ready for the pace. Oxy lightning fast as he makes it around that corner. A main cleared. Lots of space for the attacking side on A.
Safe to say,
Spike, okay.
his Jet's always enjoyable, but his Neon just hits that little bit different. Plant denied for now. In fact, Buzz is trying to play off it. Stax has done well. Dropped it on the deck. Now another for Buzz, putting down one more from a great start to a troublesome position.
There's even a lockdown, but Meteor decided
30
not to use it.
left.
Buzz has
Go, go, go.
almost secured the round, and with Meteor's help, it seems to be in their pockets. Swing from Moose punished immediately. And a lockdown that could have been used for their third is instead kept for a future round. This is a resurgence from T1. Now 3 out of the last 4 rounds, and C9 have got to be feeling the heat. This was a map that they were commanding the lead of, and instead they have stalled out, calling a timeout here to ensure that this is where the win streak of their opponent ends.
Yeah, that's the thing. As I said, like going on to the attack, if this ends up as like a 7-5, I think T1 will be perfectly comfortable to try and bring that one back. And from a 6-1 scoreline, you just can't allow that. Especially with the way that they're getting the openers. It was mainly just the disruption caused by that Hunter's Fury. Stax being able to not only get a kill and drop the spike, which I think that was probably the most infuriating part of the round, but it's not that Buzz is just sitting there doing nothing. Like, oh, he's using Hunter's Fury. He is constantly moving and taking brawls, and it just means that those players are trying to dance with death and then meet it in a completely different way.
Maximizing oxygen intake. That's what Stax was up to there. 6-3. It's not a damning scoreline for T1 anymore. This was looking to be a pretty rough start. I think this is exactly as many rounds as they got last time they played the map. Coming in with momentum behind them. Sure, Meteor's got the lockdown, as we mentioned. That may even just keep Rossi's Hunter's Fury in his back pocket. Won't be deploying that for a chance at a kill, instead saving it to get rid of that utility. We shall see as the barriers go up once again. Round 10 is underway. We're getting towards the end of the first half. We'll see if this is going to be a big advantage for C9. A 9-3 half would almost assure them victory. We could still be neck and neck.
They did this hit before, but last time, there we go. That's the wall I was looking for, to give them that extra little bit of space, and straight away Oxy capitalizes off it. His teammates given the chance, but it's only trades back. Now Zeppa is not yet lost, and there isn't really anybody to capitalize off taking him down. So this will give them the man advantage, but they are going to have to give up the space on the site. This will allow T1 to get back in. Can they find anything off the back of it?
Oh, and another attempt. It's at least gotten it to half. This is going to be dangerous. Hunter's Fury comes in. Luckily, those players can't stick on top, or it would be certain death. Flank around from Zeppa, hears it, knowing that it's half now. Stun comes in, and Zeppa runs to stop the defuse if it was underway. Luckily, in the chaos, the kills tip back and forth, but with C9's advantage, it's another round on the board for Rossi. Another clutch, and a 7-3 scoreline as the lead extends for C9.
That's the thing, T1 have been very close a couple of times to making that work while blocking the gravity well. It seems something that maybe C9 are aware of, but that got so dangerously close. The good thing is the grav well also makes you vulnerable. So then that Hunter's Fury was an insta-kill if anybody tried to stick onto it. If not, well, they almost certainly would have lost the round.
Yeah, and they knew, obviously, Zeppa will make it there in time after the Hunter's Fury pulses to clean up, or at least challenge that diffuser yet again. It was, again, narrow margin, but C9 have been content to play with time. They've got the readings down. Now, drone used on mid, you can see that the attackers are wary. T1 might have went for something a bit more aggressive. That Izu could be sitting around here up in hand, looking to take someone down, and indeed he is. But he won't be looking the right way. Oxy made it out of mid, alive and unscathed. Sets up for this A take. And they don't quite know how many players are waiting on this side of the map. And just for a second, Stack started to go towards B, but now they've got a sense that it's A. He'll stick around. 3 players stacked up and ready, but look at the map. C9 are shifting in the other direction. Back to doors. Back to the op.
He hasn't had the best of times. He's been caught in moments. But this one works out. Immediately out of there, trying to hunt him down, but he's already dissipated, gone. And joining up with Buzz, it is a terrifying duo to try and hold on to this site. Straight away, though, Buzz clears that position already. Kills off Oxy, who is going to cause them issues, and they're starting to run out of time. They still need to clear these players from the backlines, but Rossi's done well. Taking down another. The spray as well doesn't land, with Vic getting one more kill, but they still have to get that defusal. They still have to deal with Izu in the backlines. And finally, that plant goes down.
Oh, with low HP on Zeppa, he's barely able to escape that fight. Looking instead for the operator. One hit regardless, but Izu lands it. 3-piece for T1. We've seen this before, but Rossi in a clutch. Which one will outweigh the other? Gate crash all the way to elbow, and Rossi knows they could be anywhere. Surrounded in his head, fighting his demons as T1 just wait him out and eventually find him down below. Another round for the defensive side, closing the gap. And 7-5 still possible as we come into the final round of the half.
That was a really good round from Izu. I think a lot safer in the battles he was taking. I noticed in the early rounds, a lot of what he was doing was just playing an angle where there was no way out. This time it was the complete opposite. Get that information, but also get the opening pick, reposition. Get another pick, reposition. He was constantly moving around the map, and it left Rossi second guessing at the end. Like, I don't know if this guy stuck the TP, faked it, he's still coming behind me, so there's only one place I can sit that's safe, and it wasn't as safe as he thought.
Well, they had all the info. Unless he was running away from the site, which would have been a questionable play at that point. One round left to play for in this half. T1's defense is certainly warmed up. It was a very slow start. But they're hot on the heels of Cloud9, flying high in these last couple rounds. Aggression from Izu could carry them forward. C9 are on their way. They're in the spawn. They're not looking to doors anymore. They're not looking to that mid play, conscious of the impact Izu was able to find last time. Instead, it's towards B long. It's straight into the operator. Gate crash we just saw put down by Izu. He's got an escape route. That means he's going to be sticking around. And if they don't use utility to clear, they'll walk right into this operator. The smoke fades, and Izu not landing the shot, but uses the gate crash for a second chance. A second shot at these, maybe even a third.
Oh, he's stuck in the corner. In fact, he's taking a lot of damage. He's gone down. They've not been able to find anything. Stacks at least. We'll be able to get one. The ult popped from Buzz, trying to basically do this on his own. He's left out on his own, but there's Sylvan. Just ran through that cosmic divide. Moose's backstab could be everything, but they are watching for it. They are ready for it. It doesn't even matter. He's still going to manage to land the shot onto Meteor, and even repositions through his own cage. Sylvan, though, the hero of this round, waiting patiently, and Vic started this with a pistol, still has a pistol, unfortunately, just has no time.
Yeah, I mean, it's time to just run in and die. A crazy play, and if it works out, be written into the history books. Unfortunately, it's another kill for Sylvan. And a 7-5 half now locked in for T1. It really didn't feel like this was their map. The history, not fantastic, but now looking at that scoreline, looking at the last 5 rounds even, and so many of them going to T1, it feels like there's a chance. I don't know if the crowd would agree. Let's check. Do you still believe in T1? Oh, or maybe you guys have a little bit more faith in Cloud9. Oh, I think they do. Okay. They're with the favorites.
Okay, I think, yeah, slightly leaning the way of C9, which is interesting. I think now T1 heading into that attack side makes me maybe believe a little bit more in them. Now, you might be looking back at their game versus Foot and say, they got like 3 rounds in their attack. Yeah. It didn't look great. But you have to bear in mind that was up against a Vice comp, which I don't know if I've seen anyone else play Vice on this map, or at least not as competently as Mr. Fonan. Like, that guy was repositioning stuff to spots. I don't know if he'd even practiced. I think he was making up as he goes along. And the thing is, with those vines, when you're diving into a site, you're just getting slowed immediately. So everything you have with that Neon, in the case of Buzz, was, oh, look how quick I'm stuck. I'm completely stuck and caught behind a wall. He also forced them to do weird plants. Now, that's utility that C9 doesn't have available to them. Now, I will say, I have a lot of faith in this team in terms of their retakes. I think they're excellent in that regard, but a lot of what we've seen... You got us. A lot of what we've seen from them has been those really strong attack side. So now I want to see if they've still got enough to get this over the line on the defense.
Well, as you said, T1 last time, an unconventional comp. I think they'll have a bit more of a grasp of what they're facing up against here. And C9, when they were on the attack, it was these direct hits, the ability to take these fights early on Oxy's ground. And T1 were forced to take some of those duels as well, at least in the first couple rounds. It didn't work out. They adjusted, course corrected. Now on their attack, they get to be the ones to set the pace, to take fights on their own terms. C9, well, one's being spotted towards the elbow, and there's going to be a lot of trouble. Relay Bolt hits the back, the stun is up. Vic in trouble, calls for some support, but he might not need it. That's 2, 3, in fact, for Vic. And he almost got a little bit more, but now the kills swing back the other way, and T1 not down and out just yet.
Yeah, they haven't managed to get the plant. So the time pressure, not get onto C9. They don't have to get aggressive, but maybe want to try and catch these players while they reposition. The plant tap from Meteor is basically trying to bait them into a fight, and it works. Oxy goes swinging. No trade available, but eventually, Rossi, the Pistol King, will get things done. A man, though, that's been truly ridiculous in these sort of rounds. Think back to that first pistol, almost winning the 1 versus 4. He's going to shroud himself in cover, but the swing is, well, it's expected completely. C9 will get their second pistol of this map. We'll look to build.
You know, as we said, that was what was missing from Abyss. Strong starts to the half. The pistol rounds and what seems to be almost a guaranteed 4-0 start for C9 in most of their games, barring the half to Abyss. And as you said, if they build on this, despite a good showing from T1, you could still see this map falling into the hands of C9. Not bad for our situation, which is hoping to end on split.
Hello.
Meteor's up close. He's got the Sheriff, but he's not got the shots.
Yeah, an aggressive stance up against the pistols. I think that was the one player that you really had to worry about, and don't know how badly the team with a Shorty and 3 classics were going to want to go walking into a Cypher setup. I think after spotting the aggression as well, you kind of have the thought in your head of, okay, if we can catch that guy, maybe we steal a gun and try and build off of the round instead. Well, it's back to a spot where range really does play a big part. You can see the goal here for Buzz is be that, well, movable object, constantly trying to shift his position so that maybe he doesn't get killed. But if anything, I think they're just going exploring the map.
Yeah, but it's exactly as you said. It's not just the aggression on mid that obviously they went back to clear out and punish. It's seeing, did they aggress anywhere else? Was there a push-up on B? Was there a push-up on A? How are they playing this early half after they have, or early rounds, sorry, after they have those kills? What information is important to them? You got to feel it out. With 25 seconds left, the info game is over and the gamble comes in. It's an A-site gamble from both teams, with C9 sending the cavalry to this side of the map. Oxy in trouble as the spam from the side does damage. Here comes the plant. They might try to deny it off time, but dropping the plants are no longer an option. Now weak weapons pushing through. Sylvan with an attempt. Easy with the same, but no success to be found. And this round will end with C9 up another. There was some serious potential for T1 though.
Yeah, the fact is, you come in with a Sheriff, a Shorty, and 3 classics. You get 2 kills and a plant, and, well, Vic ends up very low. It's not a bad round for them, but for C9, the important thing was keeping the rifles. Anything else lost, okay, it's a bit irritating, but they're likely not going to care too much going into this next round anyway. And they'll juggle some of those weapons around, potentially buy up a couple of extra pieces. But this is where you kind of expect T1 to respond. Now for Stax, it's been a little bit of a rough half. The thing is, like, taking up, again, that leadership role, having those support agents, a lot of the time his value isn't really spotted on the scoreboard. And actually, they're doing the same again. This is the exact same push as the previous round, just getting rid of the turret, but they're going further.
Well, there's more players here as well. You've got the utility from someone like Zepp, still with both flashes, and I think the intention was to fire one in, but they've seen a response from T1, and they don't want to go pushing headfirst into that kind of a battle. Instead, they'll allow T1 to come to them, and it seems like that will be the intention. Decoy sent through first, caught by the spam. Buzz tries to return it, but here comes a big blitz. That flash, that stun, that swing, but C9 seeing nothing. T1 just toying with that early map control.
Yeah, similarly to their eco round, just seeing if there's any gaps, working out as much information as they can as to where certain players are in spot, potentially who they could isolate, who is the danger for them in this round. Now, Vic has already got all the information that C9 will need. You can see the immediate response of Oxy rotating on the map, stacking up this side. And he's in, okay. Maybe the stack is just him alone. Already getting 2 kills. Has a little bit of support. He's the man with the rifle, though. He's the one that can be the danger. Look at him try and do it all, but he can't quite dance past Izu. Even still, though, Rossi's there with the trade. He's also going to tag up the player planting. There is no escape for Meteor. A big bonus win for C9.
Business as usual, Tom. Picking up round after round, putting the early advantage in their favor, and now double what their opponents are bringing to bear. And you start to look at how some of this control from C9 in the early, like just as barriers went up, they had ideas about early aggression. But what I loved about this round is the fact that they ease off. They start to feel out that T1 are also competing for that space and allow them to make mistakes. Their initial battle doesn't go their way, but if they went for the mid duel, I think this round would have been over and in T1's hands off rip. Now look at the mixed bag that's being brought to bear by T1. The one advantage, though, with a round like this, Tom, you're typically going to group up. You're going to play that clump and just run into a site. And maybe the sheer numbers will overpower what C9 have put into play.
I'm looking at the shotgun. It's hunting down Vic and looking for a little bit more. Buzz. An explosive round to start. He's going back to the judge. He's expecting someone to push him, and he's damn right. The neon show for the last couple of rounds, and if anything, you'd expect the 2 players on the other side to fall back. Oxy, though, he's got his ult for the next round. Still has some bonus cash. He wants to do damage.
There's a couple players, and everyone, in fact, just one hit to him. Unfortunately, he's one hit to the head when the Guardian comes out. And then Moose on the other side of the map just carrying forward the weapon that he's got in his hands, a Phantom. Lots of credits for the C9 gang, but this one, you know, I was expecting the push out of the choke point to be Buzz. I was expecting T1 to move quickly towards the site. I didn't expect Buzz to lead the charge by quite that much and find quite that much success as well. That's outrageous. And he goes in with a judge, picks up a weapon as he's being peeked, still gets the first shot onto the head, then goes back to the judge. He's just having a field day.
I love the
Look at
util
this.
as well, though. Yeah, the reactions are just off the chart. But it's, again, just that supportive util that's being used to just try and leave that player who's trying to escape in the dirt. Like, you know the buzz is coming. You have to try and fall back, want to play for those retakes. Vic's been very good at getting out of those sort of risky positions and staying alive, but this time he's caught. And, well, Buzz does the rest.
I'll handle this.
Well, Izu hasn't spotted Oxy to start with, but it's all just clearing the information. Faking out the presence as he moves towards the back of A side. Decoy in hand as Oxy, but it's a bit of a disruption into the mix. 3 kills already. The ult, it's created more than enough space for his teammates to flood right back into. And that's kind of, I guess we didn't really touch on it too much, but Oxy, as these rounds build up for T1, you are just waiting for him to show up and show his hand, quite literally in this case.
Yeah, he's just an incredible player. And when you have that ult being put into play to clear angles, it allowed the rest of T1 to just take that space almost for free, and he just dives back in with them. He's like, okay, you're taking the space. I'm reclaiming it step by step, getting all the kills as he goes. As I said, statistically, first half, it didn't look the best because he was taking that aggression and giving his teammates basically all the information they could ever need and just dancing while they kill. Now he's moved up to second on the board for his team. High impact, lots of damage, and T1 feel the need to go for a second pause. They're not in, well, financial trouble just yet, But they lose this one, they could be going in with an eco to try and win 6 in a row.
That's not a pretty position to be in. This timeout, as you said, it's crucial for just that. We've talked a lot about players like Sylvan and how he's impressed us. But really, we look at someone like Buzz, also putting up the numbers here. It hasn't been like those two have fallen off the face of the earth. When it comes down to crunch time, C9 are the ones 5 rounds in the lead. I don't know who has to dig deep on the T1 side. Maybe it's all of them. But as the final seconds tick away, let's hope whatever their coaching staff have said is enough. Credits on the line. This round, more or less, has the future of the map in its hands. Izu, I'm not sure if he will have been seen by that drone, but I think he might have. Either way, C9's response is to back off and just leave the jiggle peak for Rossi.
He's got to try and make sure he's actually able to get out of there, and he's not even going to risk it. Calls for the cavalry. May even just opt to try and play this one as a retake. Challenging versus Buzz in these early fights has not been easy. It does likely mean there's going to be that post-plant scenario. Cosmic Divide, though. It's one of those ults in this position where you can lock off a part of the map completely. And that's exactly what the plan is.
They're all waiting on the other side of that Cosmic Divide, aware that this play was coming in, reacting to it as something else, but Stax gets the trade at least. As Oxy is dropped and Moose attempts a knife through the wall. Buzz repositioning back and forth, avoiding this blade. And Moose just can't get in. Eventually, though, Rossi catches him from behind. Space freed up as Stax picks up his third. A big round to step up. We needed someone to dig deep, and now Meteor delivers. That was Stax, though. He's had a tough game so far. And finally, he's back on the board.
This was basically a game of chicken with the Cosmic Divides. Like, it looked like, from my perspective, the Defender one was going to make it more awkward. Like, basically putting it on that back line and closing off the stairs. It makes it hard to hold on to that. But I love the proactivity of Sylvan to put it in front. So they have to run through, and it just created this sandwich that, as you said, they were dancing away from the knives to make sure that they're not being caught on the edge. But it meant that it was so difficult for C9 to get in before they faded. And by that point, you leave Meteor with a little amount of time on the clock in a 1v1. He's winning that round.
It's done. Yeah, and you know, the funny thing was, it was Buzz. He literally moved 3 times back and forth as Moose knifed in and saw there's no one there. Then Moose tried to run through, bumped straight into him. That's got to feel a little bit unlucky. 4 rounds in the difference. T1, quite a climb to get back into this one, even still.
They got the ults, though. They really do. The ult economy is heavily in their favor. The only one even close, obviously, you got Rossi's, Zephyr. But do they want to try and use that here? They may do. Try and deny that plant.
Oh, aggressive play, but Oxy still gets his ones. Buzz doubles up, though, as Rossi pulls it back a little bit. The spike is down. And the post-plant setup now comes into play. Lockdown, a big problem for this side with no Hunter's Fury to block it out. And suppression even coming in, limited utility. This is going to be tough. They have to back out and respect it, but that means the clock runs so desperately low. You just saw a Nano Swarm thrown into position. And with Astra alive, there is still a star. Nano Swarm buys some time. They know Sylvan's in the corner, uses the grab well here and now, stopping a defuse at least that little bit longer, and Buzz completes his wraparound from Art for his 3rd kill of the round. Beautiful play from T1, and as a result, they're hot on their opponent's heels again.
Yeah, I can really see the value of the ultimates they had online, just being able to put them into the play in the late round, and again, just the value of the individual skill of Buzz so quick. Like the first one, it was labored. It's like, okay, that doesn't happen twice. I will say I feel a bit bad for Zephyr in this round. He hits a knife that removes the utility from 2 players a split second after the lockdown is used, and then he throws 2 beautiful flashes which leave both players blind. But they're just not quite able to capitalize on the guy in the corner. It's unlucky, but also a great round from Buzz. That wrap back around meant that even if they did kill those 2 players, he probably still had it in the bag with the amount of time left on the clock.
Yeah, and there was no pressure on him either, just because they had the grab well, because they had the nano just after the suppression faded away. They got that into position, and both were burned up. Like, those players knew, okay, they're coming to fight us. Let me just use this real quick so they don't even start the defuse. Buzz is then able to just waltz in and go, oh, hey, you want to defuse that spike? Not today. 3-round gap. And C9 calling a pause. You can tell they're feeling the heat as T1 turn it up. 3 behind. And ultimates online. No weapons for C9 either. That gap surely about to close to 2.
That's the worry. That last round was a heavy investment from C9. Even though there was a stinger in the mix, they knew that if they can use that Hunter's Fury to good effect, it won't matter. But they used it, and they didn't win the round. So now they don't have those ultimates to back up. They don't have the weapons either. And I mentioned it, like, we see a lot of teams string a heavy amount of rounds together on this attack side. It can be a difficult map to defend. And with a double duelist, that almost becomes a bigger threat.
The slow march of T1 down B long has not yet been spotted. There is a trap waiting for them. Moose goes for the spam, but won't find it. And now look how quick they're on top of you. Moose, he's shot in the back. The slide pass by Buzz, but the challenge by Zeppa. Happy to rush on in. Meteor doesn't get quite as much as I thought, and in fact, this is falling apart, leaving Stacks to do it. And Oxy, not one to give up those clutches. It's 12-8. This round looked like it was set up for T1's success, and instead, C9 have clinched it out.
Yeah, we could have seen a 4-man spray down. It looked like the whole roster of C9 lined up at one point. And the bullets just did not... Look here! They're all just basically lined up, and somehow Oxy gets away. Vic wins this battle with a classic. And then, well, okay, yeah, you set them up and you leave Oxy at the end. He's going to knock him down. That is a round that T1 are going to want to live to forget. And more worryingly, they put C9 on map point.
That's it. Now 4 in a row for T1. The task just got a whole lot harder. It looked like they were teed up for a 2-round gap, and instead, oh, C9 seemed to have this one on the edge. Spike is on its way back, but I think we're seeing Reveal go through. The question is there full commitment from Buzz and Izu? Wall goes up, and players go in. Yep, they're going to commit to this push, using the decoy to clear the traps as they go, finding a little safe space to battle, but Izu's gone down in the process.
Careful now.
There's still some severe weaknesses. A Moose with his setup in tow, looking to cause issues. Buzz might be one of the few saving graces of this round, and he is doing an incredible job of it. A trade-off, though, as he will now be left with his ult in hand. And Oxy has the same. The thing is, without that ultimate, he only has a Bucky. It's already at 50%, and Oxy's just patiently waiting. It was never going to be a 3-0 series, as C9 will bring it back.
Just as we hoped, Tom. Back and forth, and it starts that way. 13-10 for T1 on Abyss. 13-8 for C9. They battle right back and guarantee us at least a 4th map. I hope we make it to split. And with gameplay like this, we'll be robbed if we don't get all 5.
1-1. The story of an epic grand final continues to unfold here in Berlin. C9 take their pick. That was Pearl, and we are even Stevens going into map 3. You said it yourself there, Mitch. Truly back and forth stuff. It is really hard to call at this point who, when this is all over, will be clutching that trophy.
This is it. We didn't want to see a map where realistically everything cools down for T1. Them losing this map, sort of expected coming in. But if we see Buzz deactivated, if we see players like Sylvan, and you think, oh, it was just a flash in the pan on map number 1. All of the factors are still there for T1, which means this should get even more exciting as time goes on.
I think as well, you then have to look at the sort of exhaustion factor and say the further this series go, the more it should be into C9's hands. Like, that's the thing. They come in with the advantage. In theory. Like, maybe the Koreans are just superhumans and they don't get tired and they could play 8 maps in a day and not struggle.
I believe it.
Are you witnessing any fatigue yet?
I mean, look at the game we
As
just
in
saw.
me personally or with them? Because me personally,
Yeah, we might be feeling it, but I think
I might need a pick-me-up soon.
Okay.
our
I'll
daily
look you up.
routines are a little...
I know a guy.
Oh, okay. No, I think there's a few here.
Yeah, maybe you got T1 sports psychologists or something come out and have a word with us. At this point, sure, I think even players like Stax, he had a tough start, but we saw him come back online towards the end. I don't think this is a matter of fatigue. I think it's a map that, well, they've had a pretty poor record on, looking at certainly the last time they played it. And here, it looked a little bit better without the vice that they were facing off against.
Yeah. As it stands, Tom, there's nobody on the board right now where you look and you go, across either of those two maps, oh, you didn't show up for that one. That one's on you.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried at the start for Izu, because I feel like he was making a lot of aggressive defensive plays and was just getting wrecked. Then he had that round with the operator, and I was like, he's good. He's back. He'll be fine. I think that's the fun thing, though, when you look at this series as a whole, is I feel like these two maps are sort of relative unknowns. Like, I knew that this one was favored to C9 because we already saw it earlier in the day. The Abyss, we didn't know how T1 were going to play, but then we head into sort of like more bread and butter maps. You've got that sort of like the Bind, the Haven, and then the Split to finish. Like, these are ones that these pros have been playing on for years and years and years now. So I only think this series is going to get better as we go along.
And we might see Oxy get better as we go along too. He was a star in Tokyo, Japan, and he is shining bright once again here in Berlin, Mitch.
He absolutely is, and this is something that, as I said, Tom brought up in the series we had the other day, and we bring it up here after Abyss as well, that Oxy's playing well, but he's going to play better, and I really don't think that's going to slow down as the series went on.
How many kills did he? Can we bring up the I want to bring up the stats, because we had a guess.
I went 21, didn't I?
I went 19, and you went 22.
So 22.
It's coming. It's coming. Bear with us. Can I get a drum roll, please?
It was 22.
Was it? Who told you that?
It's on the screen right now.
It's on our screen.
Who said 22?
That was him. He said one above you. That's actually perfect.
I'm a genius. What can I say? I predicted he'd play Neon.
2 for 3.
Line
crazy.
pick. I got the kills right.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to tell you what I think the series is going to end at.
Oh,
To be
that was
honest,
my
it's
next
map 5.
question. That was my next
Map 5.
question.
That's all I'm telling you.
Yeah, you can't give it away. You don't want to give up the script.
Well, I didn't look for the score last time. I was only, when I was rubbing your head seeking the answers, I only saw the what map it would end on.
Yeah, of course.
All right, guys, listen. We are really edging closer to... What are you looking at? What was that, bro? We are getting ever closer to finding out the answer that we all want to know. Who will be Red Bull Homeground 2024 champion? Map 3 is coming up very soon. Berlin, are you having a good time? They are. I hope you are too. We'll be back very soon. We are back live in Berlin. It is Germany's capital and the home of what is a neck-and-neck grand final. One apiece, T1, Cloud9, and we're going into map 3 very shortly. I'm Ian alongside Tom and Mitch, and one of the greatest crowds ever here in Berlin. Are you guys gonna get loud for this third map? Wait,
No,
that's right.
wait.
Yeah, I can't believe you've done Ian like that.
I didn't deliver that properly. Here's the way to really do it.
Okay, show us.
Who's gonna win the next map? Is it T1?
Okay.
Do you want to ask the next one, Tom?
No, it's all you.
You want me to do it?
Yeah.
You throwing me under
Save
the
my
bus?
voice.
Or is it C9?
That was better. We'll give them that one. You know, they're getting their drinks, going to the bathroom. They don't always want to listen to you.
That is very, very true. Same goes for you too. No, I'm kidding. We have got a banger lined up here. Cloud9 taking the last map. We're going to Bind next.
We are.
Do you think the point that we made at the beginning here, that Cloud9 tend to grow into these sort of things, is still the case here, and a T1 at threat of going down another map?
Well, that's the thing. I take a look back to their final last year. It was a slightly different iteration of C9, but I believe they lost the first map, won the next two, and then kind of just choked out of the series. They lost the last couple. Now, I don't believe that will happen here. I'm now a Rossi fanboy. He has converted me over the last day or so with how confident he seems as an IGL. I think that's going to be good. I think that if they can take this next one, they should be able to get it over the line. The thing is, though, we do now get into these sort of like middle ground maps where both teams are incredibly comfortable. Both teams have wins versus good opposition. And also just individual players. Like heading over to Bind, you're likely to see that Raze clash, which I just think is going to be as explosive of what we've seen on Neon and what we've seen on Jet throughout the series so far.
I think as well, if you see that Vice setup on Bind that's now presumably being tweaked, perfected perhaps by T1 in the downtime between the series.
But it's been seen multiple.
It has been seen, and I mean, it was seen today, I'm pretty sure as well. So this, well, no, I'm pretty sure we saw that game earlier. And this is an element of it, right? But I think there were also flaws to how T1 were playing their rotations there, and we'll see those fixed as we move into this series, perhaps. Looking at T1, last map up against Foot, they got 3 rounds. This map up against Foot, Foot got 5 rounds. So T1 are moving into a much more comfortable zone, at least looking at recent memory. They've got a comp that I don't think, even if you've looked at the tape, assuming they've a little bit more up their sleeve and changed it up a little bit, it's not going to be comfortable for most teams to play against. You're not running up against that in every pub stomp or in every scrim. So there's that element to it. And also, Tom, I think you've just played it poorly. If I say, I think T1 are taking this one, they're going to slide through, I can look Rossi in the eye afterwards. He's shown he's got that respect. He'll be like, oh, it's all peace and love, man. You know, they're great guys. You want to go say it to Stax, you're a Rossi fanboy? I'll see how he reacts.
I like both of them, so it's fine. I mean, I can be a fan of multiple people.
Oh, I see.
There's actually an abundance of charisma on the stage right now as well.
There is.
That is what I love about
We
this,
need some at this desk.
Get Stax over, I'll swap with him.
Oh, they'll definitely lose that. Just you IGLing, that would be horrific.
Oxy was so loud as well, like he always is. And that is something that really instigates the crowd joining your bandwagon and getting involved with you and your team. Do you think that Cloud9 or T1, however, need to maybe match that energy?
I don't think so. I think Stax is renowned for silencing people like that. Like, that is what he's good at. He will wait for the moment where you are, like, so confident to completely shut you down, and then he'll stand up. It's almost like that final blow, like, oh, I'm already being defeated, I'm already losing rounds, and then you look across the stage, and just above the monitor, because he is a short man, you will see this guy like giving it as much as possible.
I'm not sure why you had to bring height into it. That was a little messed up. But
well, as this desk is of course full of 6'5" men, I feel like we can say that.
We're all actually kneeling at the moment, and I think kneeling to worship what we're about
Adam
to see
actually
from
wears
T1.
stilts when he's near us.
This is true. This is true. He's actually a very small man and very scared to show that, but it's okay. We'll get the real Adam out one day. What I'm excited about, though, in all seriousness, is looking at, as I said, the Vice setup, looking at Stax. He had a bit of a slow last map. Now he's on the KO, has a little bit more individual ability to go for those duels on a map like Bind where you can thrive. I think this is going to be back to winning ways for T1 and a challenge for C9 to keep that same momentum and for Oxy to show up when, if he's diving in with those blast packs, there might be a wall
stopping the rest of his team from following.
We haven't seen any stomps yet, so Tom, we can imagine this is going to be another highly contested map.
I'd hope so. I do think that a lot of teams, when facing up against that Vice, have really struggled. I think it creates awkward scenarios because when you play against something week in, week out in all of your scrims and all of your matches, you can start figuring out counters to it. Watching someone else do it, you can have ideas, but someone like Meteor, you're talking about one of the best Sentinel players, scratch that, one of the best players in the entire world this year. If he plays that agent, it's going to be the hardest you've ever had to face that agent.
There we go. As I said, Oxy blast packing his way into this map. The raise could be deadly. It could be somewhere that he finds himself hitting showstopper after showstopper. If he's got the same stamina for those ults as Buzz did on map 1,
oh, yeah,
that could be terrifying. But Buzz is going to be looking to match him pound for pound. What I'm excited to see is the solutions that Cloud9 bring to the table, because this setup from Meteor on the defense will be difficult to deal with.
For sure.
Do we want to make any predictions when it comes to kills like you did last time? Do you want to keep your
Should we go with
streak
Meteor
going?
this time?
Yeah, let's go
how
for
many
it.
with me? I'm going high. I'm going 26.
What are you going for?
Meteor in the Vice, I think he plays around his util, a little passive. I'm going to say 14.
All right,
Oh,
well,
Starting on attack.
one of these two teams is about to tee themselves up for a potential championship-winning map 4. Will it be T1 or will it be C9? Let's find out on Bind with Tom and Mitch.
Thank you very much, Ian. Yes, it's time to dive on into Bind as the barriers will go up any moment now. And T1 will be tested on the attack. This composition can strike fear into your heart when they're on the defense. But starting here on the attack, perhaps there'll be a little bit more of a challenge. You can see the wall put down by Vice around the middle of the map and a battle on B long that's evaded. Now that wall is going to give you constant flank protection. If someone crosses it, you will know all about it. It's at least some benefit that will be brought here on the attack. Nice flash up close. Zeppa. No, it's not going to be first blood for Zeppa. Instead, Stax taking him down, and Oxy with a bit of weight on his shoulders. Nice shots.
Down.
3 down, and T1 left in the dirt.
One enemy remaining.
Yeah, he's looking to do it all. A chance to maybe clean things up, but it won't be. Moose will steal that one away. Still yet to get that ace within the server just yet. I think Oxy has definitely been the man to be closest. But he'll get halfway to his ult in the pistol round, and that's the thing. It's something that T1, they sort of, one of their players checked it on the way through. Yeah, it was Buzz, but everybody else was just not quite prepared. There was even a molly falling just behind as well to catch anybody if they did manage to take him down.
And obviously, same time, Vic is swinging out wide. So those other two players, they're staring down a barrel on the other side, not knowing there's one pointed at the side of their head. Good synergy off rip for C9. And that, the other thing, they win that pistol, and you hear the screams. The energy is high. They're looking to carry on the same success they found on map 1. Momentum's a big deal here, Tom, as well. If you can crush T1 before they manage to mount that defense, well, a lot of that fear of what this Vice could do goes away.
For sure. And I think as well, even if you just have someone like Oxy performing to a high standard, even if you have all of the tricks of the trade with Vice, Oxy might just still win you the game single-handedly. Right now, it hasn't been a necessity. We've seen a lot of Rossi's initiator, but that's another thing the IGL brings is the flexibility. Say that, those couple of kills came as a surprise. I'm off for Buzz. Hey, he'll take it. A few extra orbs in this round again. You're going to see a few players drop to the dirt. But again, the rifles are saved for C9. That was the main thing. And more worryingly, if you're a T1 fan, Oxy 6-0, 1 away from having that showstopper going into this bonus round.
Yeah, but I was kind of joking earlier on, Tom, when I said if Oxy is the same stamina as Buzz for building up those orbs early, but yeah, well, he certainly has.
He does.
1 kill, 1 orb. That showstopper is yours. And
Now we wait.
oh, I see that there is quite a lot of presence around B long. TP play could be coming through. They've seen some presence, though. Nade thrown in. Rossi's in a bit of trouble, although the heal will get him back to fighting health. Bails out of here before he can really get healed up that much, before he can be taken down. T1 picking up the pace. 2 players rotated, but still 2 in position. And the orb was found by Oxy. They can retake this. They don't need to commit, especially with that showstopper to bolster the re-aggression.
Rossi's going to be hopeful for some heals. Instead, though, it's Buzz picking up a couple. Eventually, there was a trade, but the showstopper will garner absolutely nothing. A clean take from the side of T1, and only Zephyr standing in their way just won't connect onto anything. It is T1 to break back immediately. 4 players surviving, and more importantly, they keep their guns, and that showstopper is gone.
Yeah, a huge danger avoided off rip. And this battle here for Buzz is everything. Shutting down one of the players who was going to cover that showstopper on the walkout. Also slowing down the elbow push, drawing attention to the 3 players that were in position over there. And from that point, well, Sylvan doesn't have to move, sits on the backside, waits for the showstopper to emerge, and quickly puts it to bed. Very nicely done. There were even flashes thrown through that stopped the showstopper initially as well. 2-1. T1 managed to do what many teams failed at. Just slow down C9 in those early build-ups. The 4-0 starts seem to be the norm for this defense, but they've been stalled.
Again, you have to consider the amount of potential flashes there are for T1. They can look to go through this Viper util. It's super aggressive, though. It's defense that tries to go through. I don't know if Moose is long for this world. I thought even Buzz might take himself down with how close he got to his opponent. But again, an incredibly clean take. But most of this came down to C9's own aggression. They were hoping that their pot flash would catch everybody on the other side, but it really didn't do what they hoped.
No, it is a nice attempt. In a round like this, though, also a big risk taking the fight to your opponents. You can understand why they don't want to wait back, though. The orb is taken, the showstopper's online. If you sit in position and allow them to push you, you're going to get bombarded by flashes and then blown the hell up. Instead, they just ran straight into the meat grinder. An unlucky scenario.
Last player remaining.
And with Oxy going down, the weapons they're trying to save will now be under threat. Indeed, double TP. I don't think they're aggressing any further. Don't want to lose more weapons than they need to. 2-2. We're tied up early. A pistol win for C9, but that doesn't give them the lead they desire.
As you said, though, they kind of need to look for a bounce back fairly quick. We've seen quite a lot of the time that C9 are very comfortable when it comes to their attack sides of maps. Allows them to set up around Oxy, put him into position. They'll have those double lurks available with Rossi and Moose, but we have high expectations for T1's defense. Thus far, though, they have been just pressuring this B-long spot again and again. You can see C9 even considered, okay, they've gone there twice in a row. Chances of a third are slim. They stacked A initially, but after presence has been spotted, they're going to rotate everybody. This is a full gamble. And, well, 2 of those players are already gone.
Not a bad start for Meteor. Feeling like I should have went higher than 14. Buzz picking a double and ending this round where it began. Right into the spawn. This Moose, he's made it to A. Doesn't want to mess around with that Gecko ult, and with a fraction of a health bar left and a very valuable rifle in his hand, his best call is just to carry this forward. T1, though, have now shifted gear. They're in the lead 3-2, regardless of what goes down here. And from this point, it's a very promising start for the attacking side. Like I said, I expect the main pitfalls that C9 will run into to exist on that next half. T1 keep up like this, build up the rounds. Bind is certainly looking like a strong battleground for this squad.
Yeah, I think a lot of what's sort of gone wrong for them early in this one is, firstly, their aggression has been met with a fairly easy response. But if you do sit back, there is an awful lot of execution power. Like, I think about it, you've got your Gecko util. You can use Brimstone util early, send those Molotovs into the back of site. You've got the nades. You've got an unbelievable amount of flashes. You then, if you get the site or even get space on the site, you can throw in those vines, put them in as they try and rotate, and you take a bit of damage, but mainly you get staggered, so you can't quickly get back into the site. There is just a ridiculous amount of utility that can be thrown down consistently to force you out into awkward positions. I really like this composition from T1. It seems like they have a lot of ideas, and especially when they have 1 or 2 ultimates online, it becomes even easier. Because then you can throw, oh, Thrash. That's just going to clear all the close control. They can't do anything there. Oh, okay, it gets into the late round. I'll throw it out again. But they don't need it at that point. Once they have a plant, they have so much utility that delays and make fights really difficult in the retake for C9 that I'm not surprised that even though they're only down by 1 round, Imi's taken a pause.
Yeah, I think, but this is the main thing. You can't let them get onto the site, and the space is being contested by C9 in different ways. Like you said, gamble play towards B long, getting aggressive, fighting through the wall. These are all ideas to try to stop T1 getting boots on the ground and plants in play, so they don't have to deal with all that utility. Instead, they've fallen flat in their face as they try to get ahead of the curve, and now we need to see what the next solution will be. Oxy's ult, well, he's keeping track with the rest of the team economy-wise, which means that probably he's going to have that showstopper online pretty soon. It didn't find success last time, though. Not even that could bail them out of a bad situation.
Yeah. I think the scariest thing as well, though, is you look at the composition from C9. You're looking at almost a double Sentinel. You've got that Viper. You then have the controllers. So the whole kind of comp is around delay, and your opponent's comp is all about flashes. You're kind of setting them up to pop flash through your util. So it almost seems right now, at least, like a bit of a comp did. And aggression can only really rely on Oxy and Zephyr. That's not a lot of utility to try and use defensive aggression for.
Well, they're certainly clearing everything inside of Hookah. The Arc Rose put through as well, just as an extra flash from Meteor, just in case there was someone peeking from way back on top of the B site. But the passive hold, well, to say it's a passive hold is an understatement. C9 waiting for the trap to be triggered. As you can see, the trap wire awaiting the jump out. This is a very common play, though, and one you can see they're more than ready for on the side of T1. Avoiding that, and a flash coming through from Gecko means that they can blitz straight in. Players smoked out, but look, just behind that smoke is Zeppy. He'll take his moment to strike as the chaos ensues, but the molly, he ran straight through it. It took too much damage. Luckily, Rossi's here to clean it up. 4 kills from inside the tube.
Yeah, it was one of the few spots on the site that was actually safe. Because again, you see, that's what's difficult with holding on, is that you have the nade in front, you have so much utility falling behind. What he basically did was snake bite underneath. So the second he sees all of the util coming through, he causes them issue and is able to do a lot of damage onto that site. It's a tough execute to fight against, but Rossi does an incredible job.
You see that they had everything else. They were ready for it. Sylvan popping the molly towards the elbow. Huge in that moment to deny Zephyr the big play, but exactly like you said, Tom, it is effectively their blind spot. The disaster that ensued has left us 3-3. C9 not going anywhere just yet. Viper's pit up with a trap inside it. That is a deadly setup.
Yeah, I like this, though. Is that in case he pushes forward, he'll get trapped out of his own Viper's pit, and it will take it down. That's gross. That's actually really disgusting. But a cool idea. It also lets them know if they've lost that control. Either way, Oxy up close. He's going to try and be the little rat within the smoke, not expected, and the rest of the team are there alongside him. A complete shutdown as they try and exit out of Hookah. The adaptations that have been made by the C9 roster are working swimmingly. Izu, good luck.
Yeah, the flank's underway as well. Vice being down, wall no longer there. Izu suspects it, but 29 HP. The shorty's good on any distance. You know, I mean, this is really an expected round, though, from the point of the reaction of T1. I think C9 put a Viper's Pit down on A. They have full control there. They have a trap inside it as well. There's no need for them to be worried, and all they need to do is stack up the other side of the map. Even then, they're a little bit late to it. Vic was a little bit far away, just about able to get the smokes in as the push came into play. But the numbers on site, the fact that they are more than ready for the hit to come in there, plays cleanly into C9's hands. 2 rounds in a row now, and the lead is theirs once again.
Yeah, I like the fact that Oxy's now starting to be a little bit more audacious. Like, play around that util. That Viper screen in the last round was pretty much set up for him to be in that spot, leaving that tiny gap for him to play within.
There.
Just making things tough for T1 with unconventional spots. He once again takes the aggressive spot, but has already fallen back. It's still being pinged by the side of T1 that there could be a guy in this corner, and likely means that if they do go that way, U2 will have to be expended on it.
1 minute left on the clock. And T1 don't show any signs of moving. Patiently waiting for that aggression, but C9 are doing just the same. When push comes to shove, setup inside of Bath seems like it's going to find its reward. Meteor is creeping forward here. One away from the Steel Guard and the ult that could take their weapons out of the round. I'm not sure how Stax has offered that battle. I'm not sure how Meteor gets away quite as free as he does, almost losing his head in the end. But these players in Bath pushing up means that there's not as much presence around A main. In fact, the TPUs, they go in the other direction. There's a trap here for Rossi to work around. He's big in clutch scenarios, up against the numbers, and he stopped them in their tracks. Spike down 10 seconds, and he's killing them all. 3 big kills, 6 seconds. They need to run, and in fact, the time is now gone. No time to get that plant. But Moose, he needs to run for the hills, baking it out just in time, and even finishing up the meal. C9 with another, just about.
Now, we brought up this storyline of Rossi facing off against the organization that gave him the boot. He's gone back to Americas, he's joined up with C9, and this guy is putting on a show. Like, the reposition right at the last second. Like, had spot on the site, knew there was a fight coming, heard the TP, and immediately just goes, okay, there's no way they expect me to be this deep in hookah, especially with how much time was left on the clock. They had to full sprint, they had to run. An individual play that wins them the round and extends the lead of Cloud9.
T1 have got to be devastated to lose a round like that. Every time C9 run the clock down low, they end up winning out the round. We saw that on the previous over on Pearl, so many down to a second or two, and right here, T1 couldn't quite replicate that result. Change in traps on the B setup.
Look at where they are.
Wow, my eyes are down.
The info is huge. 3 players still on long. Steel Garden, let's see how much it can do. Taking away the primary weapons.
Oh, it got them. It got the players over on long as well, but they won the battles with the pistols anyway. You took away the primary, and they're doing it with the secondary. Oh! The showstopper then gets a multi-frag as well. This round started so well for C9, but now it's left on to Oxy. So many players still to deal with. The nade will buy him a little bit of extra time, but eventually that spike is going to be planted. He's got to try and do it all on his own, and he can't make it out versus Buzz. That got incredibly messy, even showing the curse of the Vice ult. But Buzz does what's needed.
Well, that's it. I mean, we talk about breach stuns being cosmetic, but with some of the pistols and the players that we have in this game, it doesn't really matter what weapon's in their hand. We've seen Buzz in round 1 of this BO5 coming out with a knife kill. And right here, a little bit more outrageous was the 4-piece. They were all around him, shorties firing, he's dancing back and forth through the smokes. The savior of this round. And we talked about Oxy and how he'll heat up as time goes on. Well, Buzz on the other side is not happy to be second fiddle, leading the charge on the server. Now just 1 round behind our T1, and the weapons, they're out for C9, but the credits are running dry.
It makes you realize how sort of crazy the radius is on that Vice ult.
Yeah.
The fact that it takes the players' guns. I think that might have even been a shock to the Cloud9 players in the corner on long. It didn't matter. Oxy has been so happy to just push versus the Vice and Meteor, not allowing him the space that he would desire. Moose also just sat in that back corner. Plant will be denied, but Moose has been lost. Now, the return of the showstopper on the other side, but no one meets their maker.
Somehow that barely even did damage to Izu. I have to feel like C9 were robbed. Sylvano will be punished by Rossi. An animal when it comes to this shorty. And now the eyes drawn towards Lamps means that Zeppa could be free to just walk right up behind Izu. A free kill and a flash that follows. Stax reacts well for the first, the second, and almost the third. No way! They're down low, 14 HP, and it won't be enough. Stax steps up when it matters, and it's 5-5. T1 tie it up.
They're gonna have nightmares about that one. There shouldn't have been any way he gets that second kill. Almost lining up at the end, and well, they took a few extra bullets to finish them off, but that's why we talk about Stax as a legend. Someone who did it with DRX for so many years, made it to the top of tournaments, but the victories were what were missing. The trophy cabinet yet to be filled. Oh, here, a Red Bull home ground. He's looking to change that. He's looking to take that trophy home, even if he has to do it with his teammates kicking and screaming behind him. A 1 versus 4 that could completely change the outcome of this map. 5 stingers is what sit in the back pockets of Cloud9. A Viper's Pit used and 3 players sat within it, hoping that their opponents would challenge. Instead, they look to hit B with just a single defender.
Well, that defender isn't looking to do all too much defending. Backing off towards the elbow. We said Stax had a slow start on the previous map. In fact, in the series in general. But that has lit a fire up under him. Couple of big plays per map. Izu. Oh, he hasn't quite spotted Zeppa, but I'll tell you what, Stax did. Cleaning up, taking elbow control. Just another foothold for this T1 roster. With the advantage in weaponry and certainly in numbers, this round doesn't seem to be going anywhere but into the pockets of T1. Another for Meteor as he puts himself onto the 3-piece, and the lead again in T1's hands. They could be taking the lead in this final round by 2 as we move on to half number 2.
Yeah, I think that's a backbreaker, that previous round. There wasn't much of a reaction from Stax himself, but we cut to Buzz, and you could see the energy that clutch brought to the team. And now we see Meteor stepping up to the plate as well. That's the thing. This roster now has so much depth of talent that anybody could be the one to take them over the line, but I don't think C9 are going to feel too disheartened. The only worry is what we spoke about. That vice on defense has been hard to break. And already, a null command used. They're going straight into A.
Trap destroyed on the right, but not the left. That leaves Stax in a vulnerable position. Oxy, oh, he gets a little greedy and not able to defend that body now. Stax will be brought right back to life. Spike planted, sight secured, and the flank, Zeppa knows at this point. I think they've got a read on where these traps have been coming in. He's going to go the long way around. This means you don't expect to see C9 on the site going quite that quickly. A group up. The nade, though, slows them down even further. That might play into their favor, though, with Zeppa causing trouble behind. Buzz has the nade as well. That's going to force them out of the smoke into the open, but it might not matter. Who's left to stop them? It's Stax again. The flash not quite working in his favor, as the defuse will come through. And it'll be neck and neck at the halftime of map number 3, Tom. Good sign still, as it's hard to split the difference of these teams.
Yeah, it feels like a series that's going to go all the way. Just looking at complete back and forths all the way through, and for C9, they'll now head into that attack side. We'll see if they have a counter, have an idea for how to play up against that defensive side Vice, but they've already had good reads. The fact that, again, Zeppa has such a huge individual play based off just reading his opponent's utility, knowing that they're not expecting him to go the long way around, and because of that, they were completely bamboozled when he comes in from behind. Now looking forward into this half, though. We've seen Rossi have, again, some just huge individual plays, but that has only been matched by the IGL of Stax on the other side. It feels like those are the heads of each team that could be the difference makers here. And I think going into the attack, we have seen fantastic calls throughout the series from Rossi. I think in the last map in particular, the way he was able to play the map was integral. And with what is such a high amount of sort of information util, a lot of flashes that can make things awkward, he's going to have to call an excellent second half.
Well, this is the half that I was most excited to see. We'll have a lot of Meteor in isolation. playing on one side of the map, locking it down with his utility. It was the A-holds with early smokes coming in from Sylvan that made it so difficult for Foot to ever have any form of ground towards this A site. In the pistol, it will be a little bit different, though. The stack up from this attacking side towards A as they group and push straight in. Not much resistance with Sylvan down 5 HP and 0 seconds later. This is a successful start to the pistol for C9, which is just the story of their Red Bull home ground.
Yeah, they've been fantastic in these pistol rounds. It's been something that T1 has struggled with. All players back up to full health, although not for long. That's Rossi down. That might just be an opener back into this one. You still got a flash, but more importantly, the wingman acting as that third player, acting as that diffuser, but that won't be there for long. Zeppa adds another one to his growing tally, and it's left all onto Meteor. He needs to try and find these kills in quick succession, but they are playing so passively at this stage that it would have to be an error, and there isn't one to be had. Vic with an impactful 3K. Again, a safe pair of hands.
A very direct approach from C9, as we saw on the previous map on attack. Not a team that's afraid to put the foot all the way down on the gas. But Meteor had a good attempt at this one. Not just holding down in the first, and even coming around for a little bit more. Repositioning, catching Zeppa off guard, and hell, in that 1v2, I had faith for a moment. But Vic cleaning it up, puts one round to the good for C9. Now as we move into the next round, this is where I was thinking maybe Meteor goes a bit more utility-wise, but no, they're going to keep it nice and light. Not too much of an investment. Instead, Meteor has got the Sheriff out. So let's see if he can land a couple of headshots. I guess he was confident after the little performance he had there in the pistol round.
Looks like maybe the potential for a pop flash at the back of sight. It's been attempted, but hasn't had the success that maybe he would have hoped for. As you said, other than that, there is little to no investment, and any damage done is immediately being healed back up by Zeppa. This is not the same case with the Marshal, where he's able to hit them low and then everyone else can finish the job. That Sky deals with that problem. And again, with the util just clearing out some of these close positions, the risk quickly diminishes. Again, though, they haven't been able to destroy that flash. He's going to be able to, I was going to say keep popping it, but not anymore.
Yeah. Instead of popping it, they're locking it down on B for C9. Lots of control, elbow flooded. And Stax, despite recovering the Sheriff, has to hit some phenomenal shots. The jump peek from Zeppa throws him off the scent. And now T1 are left in a difficult enough spot. Anyone going to hunt them down probably finds value from claiming those orbs. They may just sit back in the spawn, punish aggression, and die to the spike in the end.
Well, that's the thing. They couldn't even just be sitting outside because there is a cam waiting and watching in case they try and go towards the spawn. And actually, I do wonder if Moose might just try and farm up what he can. It's only a Sheriff in his hands. I believe even that he picked up. He was running just a Ghost. And okay, for Sylvan, that's an extra orb, but now you could potentially get even closer for Zeppa. An ultimate that will give them a lot of information in rounds to come. Not online just yet, but he's getting pretty close.
He's on his way as C9 are extending this lead even further. It has been time after time for the attacking side, defending side, it doesn't matter. C9, they win the early rounds. Disrupting that is the only way to take the map off. T1 learned that on our first map in this series. But there's something about these third rounds. C9 just put them up again and again. On the attack, the more direct plays tend to find huge value. We saw that in the previous. And Oxy and Zeppa, a deadly duo, leading the charge and finding the duel again. Izu the one to fall this time, and they're not slowing it down. The nade is thrown, and Oxy steps into the fray. An upgraded rifle to work with. They are right up close, ready for the fight, and winning it again. Stacks on 15 HP. A random spray would take him down, but he's clinging onto life. A three-piece from the back foot. Stacks stands strong again.
It does really feel like at times which leader is going to put the world on their back. Both currently top of the board, both with 13 kills apiece. It really is the old versus the new. course, there was a small crossover where Rossi and Stax played a couple of games together, but that was short-lived, where he took back the helm of the Korean super team. And what a helm that right now it seems he deserves. 2 very high-impact rounds coming out of Stax. One that was very quickly slipping away from them, and I like the fact that we're now seeing C9 happy to disrespect the utility of T1, because that's where this game can get out of control. If you respect too much what's there from, say, Sylvan Smokes or the Vice, or worried about being caught by a knife from the initiators, you can very easily be stalled out of this game. Instead, they're taking map control incredibly fast. In fact, they look for a second like Oxy might even just jump out the window, but he was just checking the corner box.
Not quite as audacious as it seemed.
You never know with him.
You really don't.
You never know.
You got to keep on your guard. C9, despite avoiding that Gecko flash, they're walking up. And that was learned the hard way by Izu. Molly down, but the blast packs through. The nade clears back sight. Sylvan quickly reoccupies that space. Steps are heard. They know where he is. But the shot is wonderful. One more around the corner, and he's got 3, making 4! Sylvan's not going anywhere. Phenomenal series so far for this young gun, and well, another under the belt. C9's lead evaporates, and we're neck and neck once more.
The Sylvan Surfer moving his way around quickly into reposition after reposition, and the crispiest aim you'll ever see. He was the player that came into this roster as one that you go, Stax, Buzz, like these are all big names. You go, Sylvan, okay, he's the guy who's come back from China, he's all right. But he looks incredible. Like, he really has had some great maps so far already. Thinking back to Abyss with his Astra, it was impeccable, and now his sight holds again. Looking like they could be a game changer. We're back to level again. But I'm looking at these low buys, I'm looking at the Seekers, and I'm still a bit worried for T1.
C9 have made it work before. It certainly wouldn't be the first time. This time, utility thrown into the back of the site results in 2 kills. Rossi able to quickly clean up Stax, and now disaster may strike. The man who's bailed them out of so many of these swing rounds falls to the wayside, and C9 have a huge advantage. They've decided to deploy the Viper's Pit, and it gets taken out immediately with a follow-up onto Oxy. This round quickly flip-flops back and forth, now in T1's hands, as Zeppa has it all to do, and not much to work with. The Stinger not matching up, with Izu taking the defuse 1 away from his ultimate, and the lead again in T1's hands.
That was actually incredibly impressive. Like, from being in a man disadvantage up against the Viper's Pit, like 2 seconds later, you're looking at them with a man advantage and no Viper's Pit. It was so quickly dealt with after, again, what was these aggressive rounds coming out from C9. They're so happy to just get up in the faces of them, but it just didn't seem like they had another layer to it. Obviously, a little bit of luck that goes a long way with the spam through, but clearly a little bit of frustration creeping in. 3 rounds in a row now for that defensive side, and the worry here is that there have been a couple of rounds that I feel like C9 have lost that really should have been in their hands.
I think that's fair. It has been big individual plays in a round like this. We could see that all over again. The wall that's in play. They step past it, you could be in danger. Trying to bait it out, and they've done it. I believe that was the sound cue of wall activating. This was all part of the plan. As they fade back now, you start to wonder, is this going to be commitment? Maybe they're going to TP. Maybe they've rotated already, and the idea is that someone has to go and check. Someone will step out of position, and Moose will rip their head clean off. Dog goes through, trailblazing the A site, and that gives them the information. Showstopper doesn't land, though. Not for the kill, 32 HP, but it's enough to keep Meteor in that small corner. Even the nade now, it might not land for the kill.
Yeah, he also has his ultimate online. So if they do look to hit this, he could potentially take their weapons away. It's a really scary ult to play on when you're up against it.
Oxy's gonna nade.
And they are ready and waiting. If they can clear him out, that would be huge in value. He's trying to jump up to avoid it, and he just about manages it. And it's going to be the switch up, and look at the position of Sylvan. He's waiting, but with 25 seconds left, again, that ult's still in play. They're still waiting for them to go on the move, and he still managed to survive. Now, those guns will be taken away. as they look to hit into this site. They only have 12 seconds to try and get in, and they're only using the pistols on the majority of the players. Time is ticking, and that plant is not going to be happening. They need to get that final kill, and look where Sylvan is. No chance.
What a round from T1. Meteor gave his life as well to ensure he got every rotating player he could, jumping down from his safe spot into the open and activating the ultimate. That puts panic in the... Look at this. Oh, well, we miss it, but he jumps down. Well, wouldn't have been a great replay anyways. It's just him dying with his back turn. But he jumps down, and that's wonderful. Blast Pack goes in as well, even from the grave, guaranteeing that there will not be a plant. If that kill that we saw dropping the planter didn't work out, that Blast Pack may well have won the round.
Nice.
T1 had their bases covered multiple times. That may be a home run as C9 call another timeout, their second and their final for regulation. 2 rounds behind with momentum well and truly in play for T1. That's 4 rounds in a row, and the only success C9 have had on this attack is the pistol and the anti-eco.
The frustrating thing as well is these last 2 could have easily been there.
There's the Blast Pack.
Yeah, this is the awkward thing. The thing is, it doesn't even need to be activated because his teammate gets the kill anyway, but it really did just feel like they had sort of layers on layers to deny anyone getting back in and making sure that that was awkward. But it's also just the fact that, yeah, it came down to the last few seconds. You're running into the site, you lose all your guns, it's panic stations. But the main man I'm looking at is Sylvan. He just goes, okay, my teammates have won this round. I can just sit, make sure I survive. And it's got to be such a tilter, because you kill everybody but one guy, and then you lose on the clock.
Yeah. No, that is a really tough way to see a very important round go. But for C9, despite huge investments, despite the ults they put into it, the position their ult economy now is in, where they might not have any online if T1 do run away. With the end of this half, the safety nets are gone, and C9 appear to be in free fall with credits running dry. There's still a couple players able to buy, and with the loss bonus, they'll be distributing that cash well. The T1 have got a little bit more of an advantage. Operator on Buzz, locking down Bathroom. We've seen the smoke in play many times. This time, it's wide open, and Moose seems aware of that. He is, I mean, we saw it at the start of the round, it's one of the most passive holds that you can possibly play. He's in his spawn. And then he's caging the cross. He definitely knows something's going on.
I was like, this is different. This smells off, and there you go. They're going to realize where Buzz is. Knowing where he is and dealing with him are 2 very different things. He believes he's being pressured, but now he's actually being swung on from the other side. Goes back to try and fight versus Moose, who's looking to try and get this close angle. Oh. They've gone past each other, but Buzz still wins the fight. That makes it so much tougher. Him still standing, no control. Rossi manages a kill and a second. As said, he is trying to drag this team through these rounds with Vic to support him. They brought this back.
12 seconds, Buzz wants a kill, knowing the 1v1 was on offer if the plant was in play, and now there's only one left to find. Pushed back by the nade. He's managed to evade the Gecko ult for now. The flash as well. Destroyed by Vic, but 85 HP. He's going to have to be quick on the trigger. And unfortunately, the op doesn't land. The defuse underway. Vic steps in, takes damage, and even more from Buzz on the op. His 3rd kill of the round as T1 hammer home this lead. 11-8. Bind may well be theirs.
So the funny thing is, I know that guy was wearing a Fnatic jersey the other day, so if he watches both the teams he's supporting lose, that's going to be a rough one. I'll say their teams are going to have to pay him to curse the opposition if that's the case, but that would definitely be a rough thing to see. But something that's also got to be infuriating, that position from Moose, because his read from the beginning of the round was correct. You use your cam, use your cages to get up close, and a split-second movement gives Buzz a kill, and then he takes down 2 of your teammates. That's got to be the bit that hurts. But these individual plays, these superstars for T1, think of Stax' clutches. Think of Buzz bringing home rounds, Sylvan sight holds. That's what's got them the lead at this point. And Rossi, well, he's had moments of his own. But now on that attack side, he basically has to call a perfect game. If you make a mistake here, your economy may get even worse. You don't have ultimates to play with either to supplement your ideas. It's a really tough point to fight from.
And there's a very big difference between being 1-0 down in a BO5 and 2-1 down. At that point, there's no room for error. Your opponents are always one step closer to victory. T1, just 2 rounds now to have that huge advantage. And the setup on B. So frequently in the last game, it was the A site, and the shift up in composition, it seems to be helping. For now, at least, making it much tougher for them to find the space. Look at how slow everybody is. No one reacting to push in with Oxy because of all that utility. And sure, Meteor goes down, but he's done enough. He's certainly done his job. Low HP on Stacks in the corner. And now he's in trouble. If they take him down, the numbers are back even yet again. Buzz, though, showstopper, but on the other side of the map, it's Sylvan that has to hold strong. 10 seconds, and the plan needs to come in soon. They've got a spot that they believe to be safe, but in he goes, trying to deny it here and now, and knowing he has the kill if he doesn't. 12-8, and Buzz gets to save the showstopper for what could be the last round.
Yeah, I have to say, it's a joy to watch Meteor play. Like, even if he's not killing every single player, his setups are constantly changing. So we saw in a previous round, he was putting that Arc Rose flash at the back of site. So even if a team was pre-firing it, you go, okay, I've got to find it. This time, he puts it on the front of the tube. So a player jumps out, smokes fall, and he just blinds whoever is looking to defend Oxy. So he gets a 1v1 fight where everybody else is either blind or slowed. It's such a tough thing to fight against. And let's also talk about, that's not him on his own. There is also Stacks playing off that flash. It makes it so difficult to get into that site. And that's before you even meet the man. He's got pretty good aim.
He's not bad at the game, I'll tell you that. Here's Izu now, the one in position inside the tube as Meteor repositions yet again. Deeper Razor Vines inside of Hookah. The battle against Rossi is brewing. For now, at least, neither player looking to take the challenge.
Seeker's retrieved an ultimate that can make things awkward for players in close corners. I'll attempt to try and destroy them, but that's a big win for Meteor. There's nobody else coming from that angle. It makes it tough for the rest to face off against this crossfire up in the window alongside Stacks, but he goes down. It's now left onto the new boy. A showstopper thrown out to try and end it. Doesn't quite connect, but it won't matter in the end. It is T1 that will take the advantage, look to become the first Pacific team to ever win Red Bull home ground, and to deal C9 a potential 3rd defeat in the final.
They have been up on that stage pretty much all day long. They say it's a marathon, not a sprint, and the finish line is now in sight for T1. 1 map away from raising the trophy. Tom, T1 really are looking like that super team with super stamina.
Well, yeah, so far they've basically played 2 best-of-3s in one day already.
Crazy.
We talked about that in terms of the G2 yesterday. We were like, okay, can they have the stamina to get through 6 maps? Well, they've got through 6 maps, and they still have to win a 7th to get that trophy. But you look at them on the stage, like, they are not wilting, they are not exhausted, they are not a team that looks like they're about to make silly mistakes or errors that a team that's been playing all day might make.
Yep.
No, they look locked in.
Mitch, they look like they just got up there.
They really do. I don't know how they're that fresh after this long of a day. If I'd been awake, just not even doing anything, just awake at the time they woke up this morning, I think I'd be in pretty poor shape right now. But somehow, they're up there.
You're in great shape.
Or will C9 take it to 5 out of 5? These are really the best performing teams we've seen in action here all week long, Tom, putting on a magnificent show here in the main event.
Do you want to know the most terrifying thing possible?
Give it to me.
Is if they lose this map, Cloud9 will have lost this final 3 years in a row with 3 different scorelines. Because they lost 3-2 last year, 3-0 the year before, and this will be a 3-1. The difference, though, is that last time they had that 2-1 lead and got a couple of maps and then didn't take it over the line. This time, they're the ones having to do that clean sweep 2-0 back in the other direction.
Yeah, I mean, look, the shoe's on a different foot. I think at this point, the reality is, for T1, moving in to this map, potentially the next one, the question remains, what are they eating? What are they drinking? At what stage do they start to get tired? Because I don't know how many games of ranked you guys can get in a day, but even just ranked, low stress, not on a stage, no trophy, or I haven't traveled to a different continent.
You is not low stress.
For me it is. But it gets to you, man. You play like 8 games of ranked, it's gonna be tough. And this is a slightly different energy drain.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's food, I don't think it's drink. What I think it is, I think it's a hunger to want it. I can see it in their eyes. They want this trophy. You mentioned Stacks in particular. He needs it. He wants that silverware tonight.
That was an interesting sign.
I didn't see it. What did he say?
I'm not repeating. That's for them to know and me not to repeat. But no, I think...
He said, I want your babies.
Well done.
Yep.
How did you like half read that, or did someone feed that to you?
No, I just guessed.
Okay. I don't believe it.
The baby has been fed. Look, Haven is next, and this is C9's map picks. And right now, if we're just going round and round, we're just all picking up our own maps and taking them home, right?
Yeah, the thing is, though, if you look back to a recent tournament, this map did not go well for C9. I will say, I was speaking to Imi as I was like walking around earlier in the day during the semifinals, and he said to me, I'm glad we lost our previous tournament. It taught us a lot for this one. So evidently, they revamped a lot of things. I'll be curious. We saw Neon walking around on the stage just a moment ago. If maybe we'll get one for Haven, because a lot of teams have opted to bring that agent in to the pool, but both of these teams have been leaning on Jet in the past, so that might be a change that they make. But also, I think they just worked on a lot of their protocols. If I see that man in the server, I'll be very surprised.
Surprised, upset, annoyed, probably.
Zilf will be happy.
How do you think we're going to...
Yeah, I suppose he would be.
Give me some predictions. Oh, I was about to say, give me some predictions on how we think we're going to shape up.
I reckon Oxy and Buzz will play Neon. That's... Oh, wow. What a surprise. I'm correct. That's
wow. You can...
My predictions today.
To be honest, you being able to read is a surprise.
I didn't look at the screen before. I was looking in your eyes, Tom, as you can confirm.
You saw the blue and you thought, oh, Neon.
Exactly. That's exactly what happened. Yeah, no, I think realistically, though, for T1, again, I like the idea because it just makes sense that as a human being, you should be tired. That should have an effect. But I just don't believe it from what I've seen at this point. I think momentum is far more important. I think adrenaline kicks in. And I think when Stacks has big clutches the way that he did, the adrenaline's kicking in for me. I can't imagine how they feel. So that's keeping them alive. We need to see that same energy brought here today on this map. And we can avoid going to split. I don't want that, but it may happen.
Yeah, I think as well, like obviously the changes, you're going to see Oxy back on that Neon. I think he's been phenomenal on it. But I also want to talk about this map in general with Stacks. You think back to Haven, they kind of invented the playbook. They were the guys who did fantastically well on it.
All right, Berlin, these two teams have given you everything they've got so far. T1, in their first ever Red Bull Homeground Grand Final, have a chance to take it all here and now. Cloud9 are at risk of suffering silver for the third time in a row. Berlin, are you ready? It's Haven with Tom and Mitch.
And it's time to kick off Haven. The barriers are up and T1 are away straight off the bat. Buzz is dancing, feeling happy. And we'll see how these Neon battles go down. Buzz has been a terrifying prospect to face off against, but we know as the series goes on, Oxy just gets better and better. T1 had their warm-up earlier on, deep into their day, a series done, and BO3 behind them in this sense of the BO5. Oxy straight through, he can't see a thing, but he's still hitting heads. The body shot to finish Sylvan. The reveal could be deadly. Moose locking down the side angle. T1 needs something to cling on to, and there's nothing being given. Even the damage eventually converted by a trap wire. That's something, but C9 are flooding from all directions.
Another pistol under their belt. This is where C9 really have been dominant throughout this series so far. Their pistol round victories have given them that early boost. See what they can do in those conversions. Of course, a plant does give a few extra credits to the side of T1. Be interested to see how ballsy they are in the rebuys. They're going to attempt maybe a few pistols here and there. This is a map where I genuinely don't mind seeing those early force buys, just because you've got the 3 sites to deal with, you've got the pace of that Neon. There's always potential that maybe you can cause some extra problems. Again, though, you mentioned it. Last time out in the grand final, Oxy managed 92 kills. And I'll be honest, if this goes to 5 maps, I think he's on track to beat that.
Most certainly could be. See how this one goes, but back on the Neon, I'm feeling confident that big numbers shall be reached by this man. A stun ready off contact. Nothing seen just yet. T1 have pistols. For the most part, just classics. And again, Meteor is the man to take out that Sheriff. Looking to pop some heads, but he won't be given the opportunity.
Yeah, getting into this site without Moose knowing about it is impossible. They're going to have to try and almost stun him off the back corner, and that's not going to stop him completely. Just looking to try and buy some time, but Buzz does well. Removes him from the site, looks to try and retrieve a gun, but fails at it, and the rest of the cavalry arrive in quick succession. Oxy dancing around the site into their backs, and they haven't been able to deal with him.
Don't get shot.
That felt like I was on a VR roller coaster for a second. Oxy took me on a journey through that site, through the lines of his opponents, past enemies, and then it ended up not even shooting them. It taking another guy before going back to finish his meal. You see what I mean about how I'm excited to see this guy back in the Neon? He could put up the big numbers. Agreeing with you 100% on that, Tom. 2-0 for C9. This is where they've really made their money. Round number 3, up against Rifles, and their success rate has to be one of the highest in the tournament for these, but last couple games, they've been challenged. Last couple maps, I suppose. Last game, they weren't challenged on these rounds at all, demolishing G2. Let's see if C9 can do it here on Haven when it matters most. 1 map down in the grand final. They don't want history to repeat itself again.
Yeah, something I wanted to mention before we sort of got into this one was, although this is C9's pick, and it hasn't been going great. Also history of Stacks and Haven. He had so many intricate setups, many that were stolen. Oxy, this is a audacious position, and it's immediately checked. Through the trip goes Buzz, sight under their control. Maybe hoping they can try and catch someone above if there was a reveal to be had, but at this stage, it doesn't seem like it.
Oh, the drop down. Moose is given a moment, a reprieve, but doesn't last very long. A little bit of damage for C9, but this is back to normality for us. 2-1 As the third round goes to T1, minimal enough reinvestments will come through. For C9, though, the real game begins. And I do like that we started out this map because last time we talked about how one of the teams didn't have a Cypher, and so Neon will typically have like a lot of impact up against that, a lot more freedom. And then we started this one off with Oxy dying to a trapwire, really just underlining that issue.
2 rounds later, you have Buzz going into a trap, killing someone, and still just then shooting it afterwards.
Doesn't even get stunned by it.
Kind of like the yin and yang of tripwires. We'll see. Oxy, looking to push up. Potentially going to try. I thought maybe a dart would be used behind it, but no. He's just playing around the gap in the edge of the smoke. A re-smoke put in that will keep him safe for now. More importantly, though, he's got rid of Sylvan, so smokes won't even be available for T1.
Okay. Oxy won't be available for C9. Cage getting absolutely domed. And oh, Meteor, that timing perfect on the paranoia from Vic. Meteor had no chance of getting out of there alive, and now the hope instead sits towards this A site, but Rossi won't give up any more ground. A 4v2. Push up by Buzz. Okay, he could actually be the savior of this round. Rossi and Zappa group up. No, and they line up too! Buzz, phenomenal play! And with Stacks coming in on the utility, there's no choice but to run into the open for Moose. That looked like C9's round, and it was, until Buzz answered the call.
I'm out of here.
Spoke about in that pre-map, the swap up from Oxy onto the Neon, but the same thing has happened for Buzz, both prior running that jet. And you can see why. Like, the movement just feels almost abusive. Like, it's so difficult to deal with a player that can just slide and reposition so easily, having so many opportunities to take those battles, but that was one of the few ways they get out of that round, with him getting aggressive up in their face and getting 2 for the price of 1.
Camera taken out.
I mean, we spoke about it for T1. The length of the day is an issue for some teams, but when you have these moments, that puts all the energy back into your body. A big individual play, a round that should have been lost, brought back by your teammates' brilliance. Let's see if C9 can interrupt that momentum with these weaker weapons. The gamble seems good, just look at the map. A wave of blue overcomes the C site, but the red is gone in the other direction. T1 have given it up. In fact, they've smoked deep on C long, waiting for the aggression to come through. They know that in a round like this and in a map this big, there is no need for them to be the ones forced to make it.
They could also be waiting out the ult. That's the thing. Just almost let it go, but that's the refresh. That gives Oxy another bite of the cherry. That ult was going to be gone within a matter of seconds. Instead, he can now reposition and continue to try and spam damage. Straight through the smoke he goes, but in fact it's Zephyr to do the majority of the damage, leaving one man standing, but he stands strong. Still, the man behind his doppelganger, Rossi, will close it out.
Good adaptation from C9. The C play initially, their hope is to catch T1 in the middle of a push on an eco like that. Not uncommon for a team to wait the clock a little bit and
so
blitz
close
into
to
a
the
site.
ult being gone. I think he had like, what, 9 or 10 energy left in it. If a Meteor survives like another 3 seconds, I think that ult is gone. And then you look at what it did in the late round.
Yeah, and well, I mean, obviously contributed to the kill that it got itself, and then sliding around, drawing the eye, grabbing another.
Cage trigger.
Wouldn't have been possible. A man like Oxy to put a round on the board for C9. And for Rossi's calls as well to re-aggress this search for that frag in middle. That was worth its weight in gold, but Oxy, he might have done well on mid, he might have done well on C, but these A-long fights have not been going his way. Dropped now, forcing the players on site to take another position. They go down on short, but, well, they may go down on short. Being pressured from all sides as Buzz rounds up Rossi and leaves Moose and Zeppa to do it all. The problem, really the timing here for Zeppa, and ult burn on both sides.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to know who hit who, to be honest. It was both dissipating, but I also just like the fact that after getting the connection with the drone, the immediate response from Meteor is to go, okay, well, I know where you are. I can put this cage down. You don't know where I am. And even then, I think the supportive paranoia came through from Sylvan, like straight through the wall. So the players are not only revealed behind a cage, but also hit by a paranoia. And then I think a Rolling Thunder hit at the same time. So it's like, you basically are just deaf, blind, and dumb. So it's not going to work out for them in that scenario. Again, it's what I wanted to talk about at the beginning. The power of stacks on this map with its supportive utility. Like, you'd think about the DRX retake on that A side. It was something that was so well known with combinations of stuns, paranoias, aftershocks. It's still used now. Sure, people have adapted it, throwing in neon walls and other cool little pieces of utility. But they are a team that has, for a very, very long time, with him at the helm, reinvented the meta when it comes to utility.
Well, clearly feeling some pressure early on. C9 have called a timeout. And looking at the C9 that we saw the other day up against G2, not using timeouts until, or did they even use a single one in that series? I don't think they needed to. And it's a very different vibe here. You can see that T1 are pushing them, testing them every step of the way. And I can understand this as well. They interrupted the momentum. They got around that they shouldn't have with the weaker weapons, with the ult from Oxy. And then in the round where you maybe expect that little bit more, they fall flat. 3-3. It's early days in the map, but as rounds fall into T1's pocket, Cloud9 will become more and more aware of just how close they are to watching another team lift the Red Bull home ground trophy.
Yeah, for some of them, that may only be the first time. For Zeppa, it would be the third. So,
front row seats.
Yeah, it's not a good feeling.
Nowhere to run.
Already an immediate setup to just get rid of Rossi. And another tag for good measure. You come off the back of a pause, you go, okay, we've got our ideas, we've got our strats from Imi. What are we going to be doing? Well, our initiator and in-game leader are dead, and one of our other initiators is tagged. That is not a good start to the round.
It's not even blind look on the third hit, because you know you've just killed the guy A. What are they going to do? Rotate to A.
Yeah.
Where are they going to rotate through? A straight line that you can fire that ult down. Beautiful hit, beautiful gamble, and now C9, will they roll the dice of their own? Believing this play to come towards the C side or perhaps even B. They'll gamble and put their eggs in that basket. The problem, even with the Cypher setup on C, they really have made the wrong read, and it's about to be shown to Meteor. The ult coming through confirms Meteor must be A. It's the only place with a body, but they're not quite going to get here in time to stop the plant. Now it's the retake that's on the mind of C9. And with weapons in hand and no credits, is it even worth it?
Yeah, that's the problem. This site is not easy to retake. They don't have the ultimates that they dispensed not too long ago. Here is the paranoia, the stun to leave people in awkward positions, but Izu adds another to the death toll. Moose has done well from above, but they didn't get out. They didn't get anywhere near the site. Two players are now in the spawn, and he's done damage, but damage is all she wrote. The other players had no intent to make a move. T1 will have some additional cost, but other than that, this round is comfortable. And well, if we start to look at the credits that are available for the T1 side, that cost isn't going to hurt them at all.
No. I mean, obviously losing the first two and then building up your rounds afterwards relatively cleanly. You know, for C9, I'm surprised Moose got that kill. The jump up in window, yeah. He's being watched and somehow goes out a second time and takes the kill, gets out alive. Valuable weapon carried forward, but at the end of the day, you sort of felt it after this first kill, after the rotation to the C side. Okay. It did just feel like that's going to be it. They've made the wrong gamble, and now you have to live with it. Still, though, enough weapons saved to give C9 a goodbye. They'll be able to go blow for blow with T1 in individual duels, but there will be a change in strategy. Things haven't been working out. And lots of players on mid, Recon going deep. This is a full push from Oxy, using this agent to the best of his ability, getting up in their face. Hunter's Fury put through, but T1 winning the fights to start. Hunter's Fury gets Sylvan, though, trapped in the corner with Zepp, and numbers back to a 2v2. 70 HP on stacks, Buzz in the same boat. But they're the attackers, and they choose where to take this fight, grouping up and moving to the C site. The question is, will Moose be involved in this battle, or will the Cam simply set them up for the retake?
Well, there's the information.
Tripwire destroyed.
Hoping that
Spike
someone would
planted.
walk into one of these trips or give him that fight. There is the trip, but just as he looks at it, Moose takes the kill. And he can now look to reveal, but never mind. Even still, Stax spams onto the body. He knows where his teammate went down. Stun in towards that spot, and he wins the clutch again! The leader of the pack! And he's done it back to back. Different maps.
In such big rounds as well, Tom. Swing rounds. And I love the idea from C9, the Hunter's Fury doing damage, the big push up, not just by Oxy, but by Zeppa as well, taking this space. Moose catching one, this stun though from Stax. And I love that we complimented his utility so much, especially going all the way back to Abyss. His breach was phenomenal, and here he finally gets to capitalize on that breach util himself and show us exactly what he can do. 5-3. Mixed bag of investments from C9, and they go running out of the A site, content to play the retake as the plans comes through. And well, the drone might spot one, but he's safe down below. Yeah, he'll be safe.
Oh, that has a lot of utility placed onto him. Oxy capitalizes. A lot of damage being done. This retake coming in thick and fast with Izu and Meteor as the last defenders. Trying to hold from a passive position, but you're never going to get both. And now Meteor coming in from behind. They're going to expect it even when he walks out with a cage in hand. Moose had him dead to rights, but Zeppa gets the kill. A much faster take and a much faster response from Cloud9.
Yeah, well, they were ready. 4 players in position as soon as the spike began to be planted. The drone spotting the positions that they had taken, confirming to Oxy that that's the spot to put the fast lane in, to give him the cover to drop and almost drag that player into a 1v1. It's not quite a kill contract, but the kill was confirmed.
There is that response again. But it has been individual blips on the T1 radar since the pistol. They don't have the ults yet to pad the gap, but Rolling Thunder 1 away from Stax, 2 away for Izu. And an immediate TP into heaven. He is going to stick this, but instantly revealed. Sylvan fighting on borrowed time, but he is still alive.
Just about. He's made it down below, nice and safe.
Spike.
Wow.
But the problem is once Oxy dives down, pops the fast lane into play, and isolates the duel, you are not going to be having a fun time. And here it comes. Already forcing him out into the open. Rolling Thunder comes back as a response though, and there will be no further aggression. Tag on Sylvan. They know exactly where he is, but as they drop down, Buzz is awaiting them. Sylvan still in position. They can't even get to him. All the bodyguards come out to play, and Moose waiting this whole time for Meteor to fall, for that trap to go out of play so he could sneak up behind and confirm the round. Well, instead, he is left to fight another day, carrying the weapon through as T1 push up to 6-4.
I can't gobsmacked that Sylvan survived that round. There was so much stuff put to try and kill him. And they even have that same aftershock setup, which forces him into the back position. So there's not really anywhere Viv to go. But Buzz was that initial defender, the sacrifice. And then the swing back from the remaining players was just sublime. They've been so good when they have those ultimates available. That Rolling Thunder basically just disrupted everything. Like, you have your full utility setup to get back into the site. And Sax just puts his foot down immediately.
You were about, if Buzz didn't get that kill, Oxy was about to slide backwards spraying and immediately eviscerate
27
Sylvan.
HP. It didn't matter.
No, he was gone. He was gone 100% of the time. But Buzz saved the day. And the beautiful thing is, Sylvan didn't have to do anything. It was all 4 of his teammates stepped up and went, I got you, bro. Don't worry, you don't have to fight this one. You've done your job. 6-4. And T1 looking for more. Ulti's not online, but Izu just 1 away from the Hunter's Fury. If he gets that in a post plant, it could be deadly. C9, retake on A seems likely again, but they've got an early flank. The trap destroyed gives it away, but they know that Izu's close.
He's done well. Again, always having impact. This battle between the two on the flank could be absolutely everything. He's hit the initial headshot through the wall, but does he expect the second? He does. It's a good read. He knows he's coming. Izu gets both. He should have been taken down. But the Hunter's Fury for the opposing side does nothing. He now has one of his own to try and trap them on the way back in. This round is all Izu, but Buzz will do the lifting.
Absolutely massive. I mean, Izu, first of all, used the Hunter's Fury so early. I thought he's going to sit back, use it for post plant, or save it for the next round. Fires it through and just tells Buzz, swing him. One of us is killing him.
He was living on borrowed time.
Yeah.
Like, I should have been dead twice in this round. I'm not letting a third occur.
Well, that's it. Oxy knew he was there, broke the trap and revealed himself. But Oxy swings in, takes a fight, hits the stun, swings again, and somehow Izu avoids a man that most players can't. Look, he's like Medusa. You lock eyes with this guy, it's done. It's over. But somehow Izu lives all the way through to the end of the round and to the end of the half. As we hit round number 12, T1 could be leading 8-4 with a 2-1 map advantage. C9, deja vu for Zeppa and for many of these players. And Rossi's worst fears realized. C site control for T1, plant in. What can C9 do on the retake?
Again, sound like a broken record, but I'm looking at Oxy. A Bucky, but more importantly, the overdrive. An ultimate that we have seen him have impact so many times. The TP to try and cause disruption. The stun again is perfect. That backline bolstered by Stax, it makes the kills so easy. A solid flash in response though, but Meteor is still standing. Stax comes up with one of his own, and there is nothing to respond to. It is an 8-4 half for T1. A solid start to what could be the end.
Another nail hammered into the coffin of C9. Second place, calling them yet
Buzz is
again.
laughing. Buzz is like, that's not good.
Well, he is 15-6, sliding around like a lunatic. And now on the defense, we know that his tempered aggression is going to be terrifying. You can see that the Imi we saw before, relaxed, calm, well, that has changed. And the stress now getting to them.
It's definitely looking a little bit more difficult. I think after, what was it, Pearl, we kind of had the expectation that maybe this series could swing a little bit further in their favor. Now they've got to do it again. Now, I will say, pistols, they've been fantastic. Attack sides is where they've had most of their success. So if you want a silver lining, that is it. They're going on to the attack, and if they can get the pistol, this really isn't a done deal. If this is one of them that goes the other way, I fear that history is repeating itself for the third time.
Yeah, it definitely seems like that. I mean, we know that C9 can start strong. They can put those 4-0 on the board, and they've done it plenty of times here in Red Bull home ground. If they do it again, we're back to even footing. With them on the attack side, with them having momentum. But it's easier said than done against a squad that's on fire like this. We mentioned earlier about Sylvan and how impressive he was throughout the series, throughout the tournament. They're 8-4 in the lead. Sylvan's 1-7. 8 assists, by the way. Paranoias have been incredibly impactful. Space taking has been there. And on defense, he will have a much easier role to fill. But it's all about, for T1, some players cool down on an individual level, and the others step it up. Also, the fact that Sylvan did pretty well in clutches, and they haven't really needed to clutch all that often. The C9 only have 4 rounds, 2 of which came after round 3. So, as we get back into this game, T1 seem to be on the cusp of making history, not just for their region, but for C9 as well, as the first third-time second-place organization.
Yeah, and think about it from the perspective of Stax and Buzz. Okay, sure, Meteor made history by winning an international trophy. But for Stax and Buzz, it's always been a 5th to 6th, maybe a 3rd to 4th. Regionally, they're always fantastic, but on the international stage, they've never got to lift a trophy. And now they have the chance to be the first Pacific team to do it with Red Bull home ground.
Spike planted.
With prior years going to EMEA, and of course, the Americas. Meteor is already being pressured. A lot of players going in his direction, but Moose goes down. Meteor does well to at least get one. The trades seem to be sticking in their favor. We spoke about the pistol magic of C9, but that magic needs to come up again. Rossi still standing. Vic has found another. Maybe there's still life in them just yet, but the man up against them is Stax. They've got to be careful. The IGL does it again! They just can't beat this man in a clutch.
Stax has got to be searing his name into the minds of his opponents at this point. Every time you count him out, he counts himself back in. They killed the diffuser. And I think Stax might even have fired a shot or two through that smoke. I think they could have known.
Even Buzz at this point is going, what? Like, you sit there as the superstar of the team, and then you watch your IGL deal. I bet he's so glad he's back. Like, he's been without him for a while, and he gets to just watch him clutch round after round after round.
And it's not just clutching rounds, it's clutching swing rounds.
Yeah.
This pistol was one that C9 needed, and now their back is against the wall. They force bought, they put everything on the line and said, no, we can't let T1 get any more of a buffer. We need to stop this now. And for C9, they've done well in the past with similar investments. Paranoia sent them running to the other side of the map. They are going into B, but there are traps awaiting them. They missed the first one, and they'll run straight in. Waiting is Izu. The stun, no, has slowed him and given Oxy a chance with 2 on the bookie, trying to breathe life back into C9's home ground. But Stax, he's kept a little bit of control on this side of the map. And if himself and Sylvan can draw their eye, Buzz might be able to break this wide open. In fact, C9 are just fighting for that side of the map.
Well, that's the thing. When you have the stingers, you need to get close. You don't want to take these range battles, and that's exactly what they've given Sylvan. Another 3K to add to the collection. 10 rounds now for T1. Just 3 away from a trophy in their hands.
1 kill at halftime for Sylvan. This map must have felt terrible in a grand final. Not hitting your shots doesn't feel good in a normal day, let alone on that stage, but there it is. A huge round from him, cleaning up any danger that was most certainly brewing after Oxy had his way with the B site. That was a big investment from C9, a gamble that has not paid off, and T1 now stand with a huge advantage, 10-4, economy by their side, and a timeout used, the last one in regulation for C9, and they're using it 9 rounds away from victory. The pressure is on for Rossi and the rest of the squad. Steps need to be taken. And Imi's talking them through that one last time.
Well, that is it. Meteor, of course. He had that taste of victory. For Stax and Buzz, regionally, they've had it too. Sylvan just coming back over to be a part of this Korean super team. And Izu, the youngster who's been waiting for his moment. They have all had their moments throughout this series. As said, we are looking at them playing their 7th map of a day. We talk about a best of 5 being a tough thing for teams to go through. We talk about map 5 of a series being like something that teams really have to have that deep set energy to really get through, the strong mental. Well, this team is on their 7th map of the day, and we are still seeing clutches out of Sylvan, clutches out of Stax, Buzz leading the way. It's almost like this is maybe the 2nd map in a best of 3. They've had their warm-up, they've had their Red Bull to get them pumped.
And soon they'll have their Red Bull home ground trophy, by the looks of it. 11 rounds seems to be destined for round 15. As you see C9, I mean, they have invested pretty decently on some players. Vic is a bulldog to work with. Oxy, we know he can make magic happen when it comes to the bookie. As he slides his way in, there's no one to be found. Oh my!
Oh, that's not what you want to see. It's already a weak purchase for Cloud9. I mentioned it. Stax and his squads in the past were renowned for these A-site retakes. So it's what can C9 do to disrupt this. The stun will try and delay. Already maneuvering them into that back corner, but the defenders have already made their way out. Vic does well, Zephyr does well, but it's Sylvan again. He's now going to try and ace clutch this one out, but he is surrounded, and Rossi
What a play.
will be the one to take it. Again, we highlight those IGLs.
What a play from Rossi. What a play from Vic. They just combined in a cerebral moment. What an important round to do it in as well. Rossi tucked in the corner, and Vic stood there, bulldog in hand, spraying away. So when they walked out, they weren't thinking there's a guy stood in the corner. They've seen two on site, one further back, but Rossi was the mastermind behind it all, cleaning up 2 kills.
Vic, that bait?
If they check that corner, hey, there you go, that bait. It was Vic drawing their eye. Beautiful stuff. Vic might not have a lot of kills. He's got 14 assists. But that round right there, that goes to him. That goes to Rossi. Great call. And Oxy starts it off onto Buzz. Now C9. They're getting back to their winning ways.
This is what they need. A few momentum rounds. A few chances for those individuals to step up once again. Because we know that they've got that skill in the tank. Maybe you saw the roster changes and had your doubts about what this roster can do. We've seen it throughout the tournament. They took down G2, and right now, Oxy's looking to do everything on his own. There's still damage being done. Vic low, Stax still alive. That's terrifying enough. But the time is ticking.
2 shock darts on Izu. If he managed to get one to hell, that would be beautiful, but I don't think it's quite the time for it. Out they go, looking for players and finding them. Unfortunately, it's Rossi that they've walked into, and this man, he's really not missing when it matters. 10-6. C9 on the slow climb back. I don't know what Imi said. It must have been akin to Bane's speech in the Dark Knight, because they've started the ascent.
Why did you pick Bane?
No reason, no comment.
Okay, just had to ask the question. No, I will say, every time we've seen a pause from Imi, there has been a response. Like, I don't think there's any question that there is impact to be had from him chatting to the team. Whether it's to pick them up or whether it's to have something specific. I think we've seen adaptations in their strategies right off the rip. He's now been with C9 for a length of time, worked with different IGLs along the way, and it definitely seems like the vibe with this one is a good one. But this needs to be another one of those crazy comebacks. We saw it early in the tournament, back on Abyss. They can do it. It's just now, does the pressure take over? You're up against T1 with some incredibly experienced players. You need to be at your best.
Oh, Sylvan, he steps into the fray! Oxy thought he'd respect him, that he'd step back, but no. Sylvan's feeling it, he's found himself in this half. The impact puts us back to a 3v2 rolling thunder from Stax. The cage has bought them a bit of space. Even still, he almost takes them down in the reposition to the right side. Vic clearing the wrong way. He doesn't know
30 seconds left.
that heavy traffic is just around the corner. Flank play from Moose. Hopes he can find the impact. We're on board with Buzz, but the damage is in from Stax. Dropped the spike and left Moose to try to do it all. 1v2, spike recovered. And Moose, well, he's running right into Izu off screen. That could have been a battle to settle the game. Instead, looks like Moose will grab a plant. Izu's running it down. Izu's running it down. He's taking the fight, and he's won it. The defuse, as a result, 11 rounds for T1.
Almost out.
11-6. Again, it seemed like there were opportunities for them to try and get something in that round. Moose definitely did some damage and caused a few issues here and there.
나이스. 가라지 너무 좋았다 형. 가라지.
We'll see if they can turn it back. The good thing for C9 is they have a hell of a lot of ults in this round. You can run it down for Oxy, the Rolling Thunder for Zephyr, and Stax had to commit his in the previous just to try and quell what was going to be an aggressive push in his direction. This time, though, C9 look like they are fully committed to C.
Oh yeah, there's no backing off now. All the util put in, Paranoia slows them down though. Oxy, even hit by that Rolling Thunder. In a bit of an awkward spot, but he's sliding around at the wrong time, looking the wrong way. Stacks on the backside with Buzz, putting up the numbers, and it's the triple to set T1 up for a trophy lift. 12-6. 6 chances to make history for their region, for their org. And C9, oh, the deja vu must be hitting strong.
Well, that's the thing. We saw T1 when they moved back to Korea. We talk about this organization as winners. They are champions in other titles, in other games. In fact, one of the comments that was made is we need to find ourselves a faker. That was what was talked about when this roster was being built. Well, Buzz is someone that I think at least fits that bill. He has had a career that, for someone I think of only 21, 22 years old, would surprise most. And he's leading the charge here. 6 rounds in a row needed for C9, otherwise history will repeat itself for the second time. A third defeat. They still have weapons to work with, though. Zeppa and Moose are going to take the hit, not have the rifles. And for T1, well, you guessed it. They've got everything they desired and an opening pick.
And it's Sylvan again to find that. His defensive side has been a huge step up, and no one could have predicted Stacks walking through that smoke. The confidence in play for T1 as Buzz knocks over another domino. It's T1, the Red Bull homegrown champions.
An incredible performance from them from start to finish. A team that went through hell today, had to play a best of 3 versus Foot, had to play a best of 5 versus C9. A team that was built to win. They brought in Stacks to lead the way. They brought in Buzz, someone who, well, within Korea has been incredible for years and years. And then they brought in a Masters winner, someone who's been there, done that, got the t-shirt, and guess what? It's just about worked. They fought tooth and nail in this series throughout today, Ian. And you know what? I think they've earned that trophy.
I think you're right, living up to the hype, living up to this org's legacy while surpassing all challenges. This super team have been sensational. Korea claims the crown. Cloud9 suffer another nightmare before Christmas, failing to win a grand final for the 3rd time in a row. But you've got to take your hats off to them once again here. They put on a show for this magnificent crowd live in Berlin. But silver medalists once again.
Yeah, the thing is, they were a surprise for me in general this tournament. Their decimation of G2, I don't think many expected that going in, and they came in today fighting for it. I think that we sort of looked at it from the other side, but these are the people you need to look at now.
This is it. Buzz, Izu, Sylvan, Meteor, Stacks, T1 are officially your Red Bull Home Ground 2024 champions!
Could have taken another map, no problem.
Worthy winners. Hazer, you were here from the beginning alongside Kyra and Billy as well. Any thoughts on the winners?
Yeah, I mean, I was so happy to see T1 win. Great event.
I mean, what better way to end an amazing event, mate? Honestly, it's been class.
Adam, you're not allowed to say Stacksmeister again.
I think Stacksmeister's going to catch on. I think it's a great new name for Stacks. I've coined it. It could be a thing.
No.
It could be no.
Absolutely not.
Fine, Stacks it is. Boring. Okay, fine.
Ash,
Hey!
you wanted T1 to win. You got your wish.
I did get my wish. It's amazing to see them finally being able to lift up this trophy and a new winner to be crowned here for Red Bull Home Ground.
Pavos, it's going to be a tough one to beat this year, isn't it?
I mean, look, T1 definitely put themselves up as one of the best teams to be competing in VCT right now. So, yeah, super excited to see what they can actually do throughout the year next one.
Fourth time's the charm.
4 times the champ for Cloud9. Well said, Tom. Look, it's not about us, it's about the fans, and of course it is about the amazing professional players that have stepped up onto this stage and put it all on the line. T1, one more time, let's make some noise for our Red Bull Home Ground 2024 champions. We'll see you again next year. Bye for now.
Steps up when it matters. T1, your Red Bull Home Ground champions. Oh, taking out Yoti. Comes up with more.